Next is Alberto Zertuche.
I'm here in person.
Oh, okay.
I signed up online because I was in the ER this morning.
My name is Alberto Zertuche. I'm a U.S. veteran working hard in our great city. Blessed city, Corpus, body of Christ. 3601 Club Street, Precinct 3 is where I reside. I have questions. Why are the members wanting to sell out our city members under the illusion that this is the only way to bring big business by selling out our city environments and our historical history? As a small veteran-owned business, we have seen firsthand the true cost of economic hardships. Right now, our city can't afford higher taxes, higher water bills, and the loss of our bay due to industrial growth. A higher salinity in our bay, already preceded by other desalinization plants in the U.S. and the world that are killing the environments that are being fought against their continued processes. It isn't the right cure for our water problem. The bay tides that come in and go doesn't mean that the waters change out completely. It's just the meaning of a high and a low tide. This desalinization plant isn't the fix-all. It can't function when there is a red tide or brown tide in the water, which has hit our bays numerous times, which will last for months on end. My question is, where is the punishment for big businesses that overuse the water when we are in drought periods? Where is the projected plans to bring those costs up to date as our costs have increased over the 30 years? Will you and everyone who votes for this take your families to go swim in those waters, these fish in those areas that are going to be hit by the release of this brine? Will you be willing to eat from those areas that you know the food is being caught there? We are asking for true information, and getting more water is the right way to ensure we don't kill our bays and enforce economic burdens, industrial waste hurting our health on our city as well. As you can see, this should be put to a vote for the people by the city that has voted y'all into office. This is something bigger than all of us, and everybody should have the right to vote on this on the next ballot. This is something that is not gonna go away by y'all's vote. It may come the next election when all of us have the right to vote y'all in or out of the office. So just remember that, guys. We all have a voice, whether it's heard now or it's gonna be heard later. Thank you.
Gotta bite. I think I got a lot of stress on my mind. It's a nice day to go. Yeah, I gotta learn. I'ma call the whole team.
For being here at the RTA for our council meeting, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And today our invocation will be given by Reverend Russell Hildebrandt with Trinity Our Savior Lutheran Church. Reverend?
Thank you very, very much. It's good to be here today with all of you to celebrate what's really good about this city is servanthood. And today I want to do a little short message on servanthood. Jesus said in Matthew 20, verse 28, the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom for many. So I'm a public servant, you're a public servant. I know there's a lot of other public servants around this area, but we're also private servants just as well, because we have families. And serving is just part of what God has called each and every one of us to do. The word servant comes from the Greek word doulos, which means slave. And that could be an indentured servant to basically a foot washer. So in Luke chapter 17, verse 10, it says we are just unworthy servants, just doing our duty. There's nothing that makes us saved except by grace alone, not by any of our good works. So I'd like to give you an illustration of servanthood from a mountain goat. And you're going to wonder, what the heck is that? Well, when you got goats on a mountain and they're walking along, they're stretched, and there's a river down there, and you look like 100 feet down, and all of a sudden they come around the corner and there's no room to go around each other. So normally you would butt heads. I mean, you're a goat, that's what you do. But the goats have learned is that if you butt heads, you both fall into the river and die. So that doesn't work. So what goats have learned is that when they come together, one of them will actually lay down and become a bridge so the other goat can go along, and both goats are saved. They save a life. And we are bridges, if you will, to help people have better lives in our community. But also we are bridges to heaven just as well. So I just want to encourage you is to recognize is that we are all called to be servants of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. We pray today, Lord Jesus, we pray for wisdom from above for all who are public servants. We lift up Paulette Garrow, Michael Hunter, Tim Klein, Mike Husley, Everett Roy, Sylvia Campos, Roland Barrera, Dan Suckley, and Gil Hernandez. We pray for our city employees as well. We thank you for all the volunteers around the city, which really makes this place really great to live. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for the body of Christ. We are Corpus Christi, and help us to live like the body of Christ as servants. Thank you, Jesus, and we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Our Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the Texas state flag will be led today by Trevor Long, who we just saw last week on our North football team. He is an AR role student with a 4.0 GPA. He's a student ambassador for the Superintendent's Advisory Team.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now for the Texas flag. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Trevor, and good luck in your studies. City Secretary, Ms. Huerta, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Paulette Guajardo.
Present.
Council members Roland Barrera.
Here.
Sylvia Campos.
Here.
Gil Hernandez.
Here.
Micah Hunter.
Here.
Jim Klein.
Here.
Mike Husley. Everett Roy.
Here.
Dan Suckley.
Here.
City Manager Peter Zanoni.
Present.
City Attorney Miles Risley. Mayor and Council, a quorum of the council and the required charter officers are present to conduct the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Huerta. And Ms. Fox, will you please read the security briefing?
Greetings, everyone. In the event of emergency, we will exit the boardroom to my right, the council's left, proceed towards the west stairwell, and down to the first floor, where you will exit through the west side doors. Once outside, we'll continue toward the clock tower adjacent to the transfer station. Secretary Huerta will account for all the council members, and I will be the last one out to ensure everyone gets out safely. 3 things to remember during an emergency: please do not use the elevator. Please only return once the operator has been given. And lastly, if you need to shelter in place, we will do so in the west side stairwell. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fox. Okay, that takes us to section F, our city manager's comments and update on city operations. Mr. Zanoni.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good morning, Mayor and members of the council. We do have one item on the city manager report, and it's to provide the council and the community with an update on 16 capital projects that are completing this calendar year, actually. And I know Councilman Pusley is asked to tour some of these, and we're working on that now. We're seeing how we can accommodate council schedules to do a site visit on some of these more significant projects. But short of that, we thought we'd show you some pictures of the projects currently and give you a status of their current condition. So this first chart here shows us the 16. There's 16 major projects that are in every section of our city that were either approved through a bond program or other funding mechanisms in our annual budget process. From now through December, just about every month, a significant project will be opening to the public or will be opening to use by the city teammates, like our like our police training academy. So what we're going to do is just go through each one of these this morning. So we're going to begin on the next slide with the Sherwood Dog Park, and this did make it into our local news outlets this past week, so this is something, if we advance the slide forward. If we can advance the slide, sure might slip back. The Sherwood Dog Park, construction of the dog park with amenities to include a drinking fountain, shade, and a seating area. It was included in our operating budget. This is in City Council District 2. It's on Linden Street. So this opened already, but in February, we're gonna have a nice event there on a Saturday at 2 o'clock to include having animal care services there to talk about their programs and have an adoption event as well. What I might say as we go through these is you'll see the design engineer, the designer of record, and then the construction contractor. And what you're gonna notice is I think just about every one of them are local. And so it's a local design team and then a local contractor who has actually done the work, which is great for our economy. So on the next slide, a long-awaited one, the Packery Channel restoration, the dredging of the channel, and then the placement of that sand on North Padre Beach to improve an area that needed sand renourishment. This is a big project. The budget listed here is probably just for the nourishment. It doesn't include federal monies that we received to restore the revetment and walkways of the Packery Channel. But this project being done by Cal and Marine, who will be working in our downtown marina, is going to be a significant addition in terms of accessibility and revetment restoration for the island community. And not to mention the beach. You can see the picture in the far right corner of some of the renourishment activity that's being done. That section of the beach that was real narrow. And in fact, you can see that one bollard there was closed to vehicular traffic because of it was so narrow. So this will allow it to be opened back up for pedestrians and vehicular traffic. The project completion on this is March, and so that'll be a very big event for us to celebrate. Okay, so today in the next slide, we're here at and we do want to thank the RTA for letting us use these chambers. I think many of you may have snuck into the now almost complete City Council chambers at City Hall. This is a picture, it looks like it was just taken this morning. I walked in there myself, and it's looking spectacular. It's an unreal before and after construction project. We're appreciative of Gurley contractors for the really detailed work that they put in. I think it's a perfectionist dream here, this redo. We must be reminded that this is the People's Chambers, and not only is it used for City Council meetings, but for things like the Planning Commission. Many of our boards and commission use it as well. So the redo wasn't necessarily to benefit the City Council so much as the sitting public and the viewing public who watch our meetings on TV. And so extreme enhancements include updates to the audio-visual system, all the electric components. The City Council will be using an electronic voting system from now on the chambers, so you'll just push a button whether yes, no, or abstain, and all that will be shown on one of those monitors there as well. So moving into the modern technology of using a City Council chambers. So this is expected to open in March. The next one is our Gabe Lozano Golf Course. The city owns the Gabe Lozano Golf Course, but it's managed greatly so, or excellently so, by Forsyth Golf, and they are completing a 9-hole course at the Gabe Lozano. But the highlight here is it will have nighttime lighting, and this will be the first nighttime lit golf course I've heard in the kind of the coastal Bend region. So this is going to be a tremendous asset for us here locally, as well as visiting members who come to visit our community can use this golf course. So the expected completion date is in April. It's called the Firefly, and it's going to be a great addition to our community. So if somebody does fly into our community, we're either in or out. An addition that our airport team has recommended and is funded with federal grants is, you can see it on that bottom picture, is an outdoor concourse patio area. And so on beautiful days like today or in the fall, or if you like the hot summer, you can step outside in an outdoor environment, have a cold beverage, as well as a pet relief station. If you have your pet with you, you can see in the upper right corner with that green grass. They've thought of everything on this thing, so it's a beautiful addition to our airport. $1.8 million funded by federal funds, federal grant funds, and Spa Glass is the civil construction contractor. We expect this portion of the improvements at the airport to be done in April. And then as we continue in our kind of theme of entertainment, the American Bank Center has it used to be an outdoor lounge area or seating area, I guess, but it was never really utilized much, and it caused a lot of problems for the interior because it allowed a lot of humidity to come inside. And so several years ago, the Type A board recommended a project of $3.8 million to enclose this, what was a terrace, and make it an indoor seating bar type suite. And so I just toured it last Friday, and it's a pretty big space. You can see in that upper picture is pretty much what we saw last week. The bottom picture is beautifully designed by Levi Dykema. Seating, it's 11,000 square feet. There's going to be a bar at each end of this suite. It's right across the hall from the suites that are at the American Bank Center, and the suites after this will have similar treatment of this wood concept and leather. Just a real nice, comfortable area. It's a beautiful view from the windows. This is underway, and we're hoping to have it done by the Buck Days. Johnny Filippello has really been advocating for as much, and the contractor told me last Friday there's no reason to think that wouldn't happen. So it might be available for first use during some of the Buck Day events. And then our managing partner, OBG 360, will manage this space on behalf of us to rent it out for special events, or when there's an event happening at the American Bank Center, somebody can rent this out, or there'll be events and music and that type of thing. So a beautiful addition to the American Bank Center, beautifully designed by Levi Dykema, and we're excited about being able to use it. Along the seawall, you may recall we had a budget of about $400,000 to improve the lighting across all the mirror doors, to include the Selena mirror door, which as part of this project is not only getting new lighting, but a complete overhaul in terms of the painting. There's a music system that worked for some time, but I think it's been offline for some time as well. And so a complete restoration and replacement of all the musical systems that's there that play Selena music. And so this is a pretty big project. It's expected to be done in May of 2024. Now, Cole Park, one of our busiest parks in our community. We have several regional parks, and Cole Park is one of them. You may see if you drive down Ocean Drive, what you see here in front of you here, which is our splash pad that has been added. This is going to put yet another amenity into the Cole Park, which really is providing a lot for families to do. If you don't like to fish, you can play in the splash pad, and soon I'll show you can play in a brand new multi-generational ADA accessible playground. So the splash pad has many features. There's 23 different water features, some of which you can see there. It was designed by Levi Dykema, Progressive Commercial Aquatics is helping us. They have done all of the installs to date of our splash pads across the city. This is close to $1 million budget. It's going to be complete before the park playground is complete, but we're gonna open them at the same time. And if we go to the next slide, that timeline, if the next slide lists the playground here, you can see this is going to be beginning soon. Gurley contractors who have completed now the city council chambers, moving their crews over to here to do this exterior playground. This picture really doesn't really show the breadth or the depth of the playground. It's for all generations. It's ADA accessible. It has many ADA features. It replaces what's somewhat of a hazardous situation there now with a deteriorating fall zone and just a really outdated playground. So this was in our bond program, $1.1 million. This will open in May, and the splash pad right next to it will open at the same time as well. Now, one of our favorite projects in our community, and one that this council overwhelmingly declared as a cultural icon for Corpus Christi, is our water gardens. And I know Councilwoman Campos and I toured it recently with some of the construction work happening. This is on schedule, within budget, and really being restored to its integrity that it was before it came offline due to Hurricane Harvey, and really probably prior to that because of poor maintenance. So it's expected to be complete by May, June. Fulton Construction, we want to thank them for really stepping up to the plate and saying, we'll do this project for the city, because we had no bidders except for Fulton on it. People were afraid of the complexity of it and the unforeseen conditions that they might face, but I'll tell you what, it's looking beautiful. A lot of the integrity of the original gardens exist. There's a brand new pump house that removes all the electrical equipment from what was the underground vault and places it above ground. The below ground vault will still be used, that's where the pumps will be. But Fulton has done a great job in sealing that vault. There was many areas where water could get in, and that was the demise of the feature to begin with. So they've done some value engineered work to really secure the vault and add a complete redo to the plumbing system and a brand new LED lighting system. And so we can't wait to be there in May, June when this ribbon cutting and the water begins to flow again. Now let's move over a little bit to North Beach. And so we know this is an important area of our community, and one that not only has the city helping in its revitalization, but the private sector as well. And so we committed to the community a brand new bathroom and park there to replace what is three actually public restroom facilities on the peninsula. This is coming along nicely. I was there also last Friday, close to a $7 million budget to include bonds and other funds. It's really three things. It's a redo of the parking lot, a redo of the restroom, and a redo of the park. And pretty much all of those three barely existed in the demolition. So it's really a beautiful redo to a piece of property that the city owns. It moves the park from what was on the opposite side of the parking lot furthest away from the beach, then brings it right up to the beach. There'll be barbecue pits, interactive play equipment for children, and then that brand new ADA accessible bathroom, and then brand new parking. The whole site has been elevated several feet, and so this area was prone to either seawater inundation flooding from high tides, and especially when it rained, and that will be no more. So a great destination for facilities, but also just as a place-making site for families and our locals to go to. Okay, Councilman Hernandez is on the map here with Yorktown. So, I mean, Rodfield, I should say, to get to Yorktown and Adler, this road did not exist. And we know, as you can see in that bottom picture, there's hundreds of homes that have to access Yorktown. And so we know Yorktown is coming up next in terms of a complete reconstruction. But Councilman Hernandez and the community thought that it'd be important to have an additional access so people living in those subdivisions don't have to dump into Yorktown when it's under construction. So the phasing of this is by design. Yorktown will be done this summer, and then before then, and actually already, the Yorktown project is underway, but we want to make sure we have a secondary access for all the residents that live there so they don't have to go through all the Yorktown traffic if they do need to go down that road. Also, City Council District 5, the Bill Witt Aquatic Center. This is a fan favorite, Councilman Hernandez, and it will be of the community. This is the first pool that this city council approved to be built since 1950, the first brand new pool. So it's coming along great. Our teams go by there quite a bit, make sure progress is coming along well. It's the picture says it all right here. You can see it. There'll be a lap pool and then a family pool. Pretty significant. You can see in the bottom picture, a clubhouse, if you will, where there'll be bathrooms, changing stations, a place for the lifeguards and other staff members that'll help keep this place running. This pool will be open around the clock, I should say, not seasonally. And so not around the clock, but around the calendar year. And so the pool to the right, the lap pool, will be open longest through the year. And then the family pool will be open during those summertime months, a little bit before and a little bit after. But great add to our fast-growing south side area, and we're pretty proud of it. And we can't wait for that grand opening, which will be July. Now this one here, right across the street, actually from the pool, is our new police training academy. And while the patrons, while our community won't be using it, who will be very important to us, and that is our incoming police officers. And so the city trains cadets to become police officers. And to this date, we've been using a facility that wasn't built to be a police training academy, and today still has porta potties that are outside as restrooms because the inside doesn't have enough room. And that's just one example of why we wanted to do this project. So this is coming along great. Turner Ramirez was the architect firm. Fulton Construction is the construction firm. This is a great example of partnership. And so Del Mar College, the Regents, allowed us to lease property on their OSO campus, saving taxpayer money, both from the Del Mar side and the city side. We didn't have to buy real estate, nor did we have to do design work for infrastructure, to include roads and electrical, water and sewer systems. So a huge benefit to the taxpayers, great example of collaboration, but better yet, a modern, brand new facility to train our police officers, not only here in Corpus Christi, but regionally will become a place where officers can come for training, recertification, and then finally our officers who go here will be on the campus of OSO and may be inspired to continue their own degrees and work outside of police. So we like all of that. It's come along great. You can see a picture there in the middle of the construction. Chief Markle and his team goes by quite a bit and sends us drone footage and some of the interior work. So coming along great, very significant for our city. And then as we continue on the next slide, the theme of public safety, brand new fire station number 3. You can see beautifully designed. A lot of people are impressed by BR Architects design. You can see a picture on top as well. BRW Architects, I should say. Weaver and Jacobs Construction is doing the construction work. It's well underway. This replaces one of our busiest fire stations built in the 50s that just isn't adequate for today's needs, both from a human capital standpoint. The crew quarters are terrible, and the bays are not big enough for the equipment. So this is the beginning of what we've committed to, and I think this council has as well by adoption of the capital budget. This is the beginning of replacing half of our fire stations over time that are outdated, built in the 1950s for the most part. So we have a plan to replace 9 of the 18 stations, and this is the beginning of that plan, Fire Station 3. It's expected to be completed later this fall. And then as we conclude, moving all the way up to Cal Allen area, this is a monumental project that the City Council took on, which was finally demolishing what was a decommissioned water treatment facility that the city owned. It's the first thing you saw when you drove into the city. And it sat there, I think, since the 1940s or 50s or for many years. So that was demolished some time ago. And then the goal in this project is to connect those 2 land masses that the city owns. We know to the right is the existing Labonte Park. To the left was that underutilized city territory that was by and large abandoned. And so with $1.5 million in the 2022 bond program, step 1 in this restoration of what will be the biggest park in our city is to connect those 2 land masses with a walking trail, security lighting, removal of some of the invasive species that has grown, and keeping some of the natural beauty that exists there. Some beautiful oak, maybe a few oaks, but beautiful mesquite and other trees that are in that middle portion. And so having a expanded Labonte Park, we know this is a family favorite in our Easter time camping, as well as just every time of the year with the river running right along it, and people love to fish and then cook those fish right out there on the barbecue pit. So they do. So that is it. So that's a rundown of those 16 projects there. There's, as I mentioned, what's important for the community to know is this one just about every section of our community, whether it's Cal Allen or the beach, as furthest you can go with the beach restoration. So we have a great team here in the city led by Jeff Edmonds, who's overseeing the construction work. And we have some great design firms in our community, as well as construction contractors who are doing some exceptional work for this city and for the taxpayer as well. So Mayor, Jeff Edmonds is here, and myself, if you have any questions.
Great. Thank you, Peter.
Quick comment, and Peter, you might want to mention that the fire station, we did another very positive property swap with the Rochelle Foundation to keep us from our property.
You're right, Councilman. With partnering with a local foundation, the Rochelle Foundation on Morgan Street, the reason we're able to begin this construction and keep the other fire station open is because the Rochelle Foundation is swapping the piece of property that the new station is on with the old fire station site. So once this project's done, we'll demolish, Rochelle actually will demolish old fire station 3, and they'll take over that property. So it was a pretty equal land swap, but it allows us at no cost to get a piece of property to build the new station on, while at the same time keeping our current one in operation. So a real good point. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Thank you. Okay, so that will take us to section G, which is our public comment, and it is noon. Mr. Risley, would you please review the council meeting rules of decorum?
Citizens are authorized and encouraged to present their views to the council on city-related matters. However, such should be done in a factual, precise presentation, and questions of council or staff are inappropriate. Loud, boisterous, profane, or obscene language or behavior is not allowed.
Thank you, Ms. Risley. So individuals will be called upon in order in which they signed up electronically. In-person public comments will be taken first, followed by virtual public comment. Corpus Christi residents will take precedence over non-residents. And for those commenting in person, I'd like to remind everyone that a recording is being made of this meeting. Please speak into the microphone located at the podium and state your name and full address prior to speaking. There are two opportunities in which you can make public comment. One on an agenda item, one is at this present time, and the second is at the time in which we actually hear the item. So please choose one. Citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes. Non-resident comments are limited to 1 minute. And for those commenting in person, there is a timer that will be here in front of, on the dais in front of Ms. Huerta's area, and it will show you how much time you have left. When you hear the buzzer, we need you to wrap up your comment, to put it bluntly. And that's in appreciation. Today we have over 4 hours of public comment. So please be respectful of your 3-minute time limit so that we can have the courtesy for everyone to have that same amount of time. If you have a petition or any information pertaining to your subject matter, if you'll please give it to the city secretary prior to speaking, and she can hand it out to the council. So with that, we will begin with Patricia Anderson. Is Patricia Anderson in the room? Okay. Bobby Gonzalez.
Mayor, Council, my name is Robert Gonzalez, and I live at 5901 Harvest Hill Road in Corpus Christi, Texas. And first, let me thank all of you for your service to this community. And I greatly appreciate the work that y'all put in, and so I start by saying thank you. The city of Corpus Christi needs a better water supply for our future. The drought scenario is very serious. Building our water supply is non-negotiable. We cannot make a decision not to bring in more water. We must bring in a large water supply at the best price for the taxpayer. We must protect our environment in the process. We understand that this is difficult, but the city has no other option we have no other option as a community in order to protect our community's economy. I believe strongly in the voice of the community. All the people speaking today, I'm sure, are good people, and you should listen to them. And I think it's fantastic that they come before the city council and express their opinion. However, the only solution for us is to build our water supply. We cannot be caught in between any kind of infighting between agencies. It's very hard, and I understand it's very hard to make these decisions. And I remember serving 12 years on the board of Corpus Christi, and there was times it was very difficult to make decisions because people, you were subject to being criticized and attacked. And so, but that's what you must do. I mean, that's what your job is, and I have a lot of confidence in this council. I think it's a great council, and certainly y'all will do the right thing and ensure that our water supply is substantially increased, and how that is done, it's up to this council to decide. But you know, and I speak, by the way, as a private citizen today, but we must dramatically increase our water supply. We have to do that. That is on your shoulders. You're our future. This is it right here. The kids of the future rely on this council, and I ask that you be bold and be strong, and you give us a much better water supply than we have today. And I thank you very much for the time to speak. I know it's very difficult. These are very difficult decisions to make, but that's why you're sitting where you're at, to make the difficult and bold decisions. And I did that as a court commissioner, and you were criticized at the time, but later on, those are your proudest decisions. Those are your best decisions, are the ones under difficulty and pressure. And so, please, we need to dramatically increase our water supply. Our future is in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Sean Flanagan.
My name's Sean Flanagan. I live at 4218 Hernandez Street. What I'm about to say are my thoughts and only my thoughts. I got 3 subjects. Number 1, you're about to make another appointment to the library board. This is important, and it's become important because a problem was pointed out. That in our current public library situation, the library establishment has allowed books that are designed to sexualize children to occur and be stocked in our public libraries in the young adults and children's sections. As you make your appointment today, I hope you keep in mind the background of the people that you're considering. They need to have enough moral clarity and a moral compass to know that this is not an acceptable situation. And I hope that you let the good Lord guide you when you make your decision in this regard. Second, you got an agenda item for about $75,000 for a PR campaign to get folks to take more vaccinations. I think you might want to consider shelving that, especially I believe some other speakers will address that further, because, my third point, as I walked in here and I saw these demonstrators outside with their signs, and it's all about desal, about water sources, and this place is packed, and you said you got 4 hours of speaker, you're going to get an earful, and everybody's got an opinion. Listen, we elect you to be leaders, so you're leading. But when you lead, you got to take us with you. Take that $75,000 for this other propaganda campaign and put it towards a campaign to show us that the choices that you make, because you got choices, show us the choices that you're making in this whole water deal as we move forward are the best ones for everybody involved. I know you've been doing this for years, but really, you have these town hall meetings, and it's going to be the same folks come to all the town hall meetings. They got their minds made up. The majority of the folks out there in Corpus probably don't. And whatever you go forward, don't just say, hey, our work is done. You got to have the people follow you. And we can follow you if you give us information in a proper format that says, hey, these were our options, and this is why we went with this one. This is the good, this is the bad, but this is, please support us going forward. God bless you. You got a terribly hard job, and thank you for doing it. And please, though, bring us along with you when you lead us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flanagan. Jim Urban.
Morning, Jim Urban, 811 South 11th Street, Fort Hernandez, Texas. I didn't realize I was going to have 1 minute because I'm here to speak to you about items 6, 7, and 8, and I would here to speak in favor of these 3 items. I wanted to take a quick minute of your time, and since I have a minute instead of 3, I'm going to go real quick. I just want to remind you of the history of the city's journey to bring fresh potable water to its citizens in the surrounding community. It started off in 1958 with Wesley Seal, and that took care of us all the way up until 1978, when there was talk of a new reservoir, and the city made the hard decision to build a second reservoir in Choke Canyon. Choke Canyon, the 2 reservoir systems served us for a pretty good long ways until the mid-90s, when again we looked for a new source of water, and that new source of water, we looked at groundwater, surface water, and desal for the first time. 1998, y'all partnered with the port, built a 101-mile long Mary Rose pipeline that provided a new supply of water. Sorry. I encourage you to vote yes for item 6, 7, and 8. Thank you.
Mayor, thank you, Mr. Urban.
Normally,
Sarah
the
Tyndall.
counters are at the end so that the local residents can be at the beginning. That's been protocol for years.
Yeah, and it's
So
showing
on
he's
the
resident.
registration form, Mr. Urban did not indicate he was not a resident, and he listed a residential street address. So that's,
He said he wasn't, so
yeah, we did not know until he came up to the podium, so our apologies. But that is the correct procedure, yes ma'am.
Okay, Sarah Tyndall, and then we'll have Deborah Williamson, Rachel Caballero, and Robert Landon.
Good morning, Sarah Tyndall, 445 Pyramid Place, that is District 2. Good afternoon, I'm here today to express my support for the desalination project you will vote on today. I've lived in Corpus Christi since 2005, almost 20 years now, and in that time I've worked for the Corpus Christi Caller-Times, the American Heart Association, the Economic Development Corporation. In all of these different roles, there's always been the discussion about our city's potential. In fact, that's been a byword for Corpus Christi ever since the oil bust in the 80s. We were always on the verge of realizing our potential, but never quite seemed to get there. But here we are, on the cusp of doing just that. Securing an uninterrupted water source for our region will set us ahead of every other city in Texas for our potential for success in the coming years. This is an exciting time, a watershed moment for our region. By taking this step today, you are taking a great leap forward for the future of the Coastal Bend. As far as the merits of desalination itself or the chosen location for the plant, I will not pretend here to be an expert. You have commissioned several studies to determine the best option for a new water source for our city. You have hired experts to find the best location for a site that will be the most cost-effective to connect to our water system. And then TCEQ and the EPA have weighed in through several years-long permitting processes to ensure that the environmental impact of this plant will not negatively affect our bay and its wildlife. You have done your due diligence. You have carefully weighed all the options. You have done what is necessary to secure funding from the state and all other available sources to reduce the burden on the taxpayer, including securing funding from our local industry, who is so committed to assisting you in this process that they voluntarily began paying for a new water source several years ago. So I'm here to thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your willingness to get this over the finish line with your vote today. Thank you for giving this region the chance to realize its potential to be the most vibrant community on the Gulf Coast, with exciting new economic opportunities along with a beautiful natural environment. And I'm ready to see what's to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tyndall. Deborah Williamson.
Deborah Williamson, 25 Rock Creek Drive, Corpus Christi, Texas, 78412. Thank you, Mayor Guajardo, and all the council members for allowing our input. I'm here about the $75,000. I'm gonna, run through a couple of things quick. I think I talked fast, but maybe not fast enough. But I'm happy to send links.
Ms.
Oh, you
Williamson,
can't hear me?
There you go. Yeah, just pull it down.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Much better.
All right. Thank you. Okay, this may not be pleasant, it's not meant personally, but if you're someone who continues to pretend that you don't know that the shots may injure, kill, and have done so for 4 years now, this is the time to make a choice not to further that, okay? And from the launching of these shots, people have had heart attacks, they're dropping like flies, we've all seen it. It's denied, it's not on the news, etc. We all know this. So, I mean, we've been misled. I'm not pointing the finger. I'm saying we are in a real, mess in this world. But anyway, there is some data. Dr. Teresa Long is a military person, and from the beginning, she was noticing her pilots. People were getting very sick with huge numbers. And I made 8 copies of that, but that's not enough to go around, but you're welcome to. I will send a link and you can have these 8 copies if you want. And, she just noticed alarming trends upon the C-19 shot coming forth. And, the numbers were from an average of 226 per year of reportable events. In 2020, from 2016 to 2019, it went to 4,059 in 1 year, 2022. That's enough of a leap that, that should have got all our attention. But Dr. McCullough had an autopsy study in 240 of 325 autopsies and 1 necropsy. I don't know what that is. But, I mean, they were considered connected to the shot, or very likely. There's a very long 48-page paper that I'll send a link to if you want to wade through it. And it just, you know, systems include cardiovascular, which is the main thing we see. Athletes dying all over the world. Katie, cheerleader, 16 years old, and suddenly she has some genetic abnormality. I'm sorry, I bet that poor girl got a shot. And it's like, it's so evil. This is so wicked. I ask you not to participate in this. You want this city blessed, kick every shot giver out of this city. Thank you, God bless all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Williamson. Rachel Caballero.
Rachel Caballero, 522 Hancock. We are very well aware of the recruitment process for the pro-desal activists, so you aren't fooling anyone. Thanks for wearing blue today, Mayor. I hope that means that you'll be changing your vote today in opposing the destruction of our Corpus Christi Bay. This is not an interruptible water or non-interruptible water source. There is no plant that has been working properly. Carlsbad, California, had filed for bankruptcy 3 times. Here in Corpus Christi, CC Polymers has filed for bankruptcy because they can't get the one 10 MGD plant functioning. Why don't you guys buy that one cheaper and try to get it figured out? In Dubai, who most countries consider some of the smartest people in the world, they have a desalination plant and they have to go back to the drawing board because they were underestimated the excessive brine that is now destroying the Persian Gulf. So let's make a clarification here. Your lies and your gaslighting, they're being exposed to the community. No matter who comes up here and is a pro-desal activist, has some type of tie to you people. And we understand that. And we're not gonna fall for it. And we're not gonna let the community fall for it. We're not going to let you guys destroy our Corpus Christi Bay. It's not happening. We are the minority user of the water at 16%. If we do not pay for this destruction of our Corpus Christi Bay, the refineries will survive, and we will survive as a community. There are alternative sources to finding more water that you people are refusing to address and are refusing to show to the public. I hope you all have had a moral awakening in the last week. Otherwise, enjoy your final term on council. We don't want your type of representation here. We are not going to allow you guys to destroy our bay for multi-billion-dollar for-profit corporations. And that is exactly what is happening here. No matter how many people come up here and they're on your side and, oh, thank you, you're great. And by the way, thank you for the highlight reel that I haven't seen in 3.5 years. Good performance, city manager. We need for you guys to be honest here, because you're not. You are lying, you're misleading, and you're gaslighting the public. You're all being exposed, and you're all about to be replaced. Have the day you deserve.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's go ahead and start in the back. We don't clap. If we need to, no, there are rules. So if you're not sure of the rules, we can read them again. We've had 4 hours of public comment to hear your voice. I don't care what side you're on, but we will obey the rules of decorum. So please, I'm just asking you, because one time, all we need is one person to start the whole thing, and let's just do it right on both sides. We appreciate that. Robert Landig.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Robert Landig, 8006 Villefranche Drive, that's on the south side, Kings Crossing. So, I am in favor of desalinization. I stand here completely on my own. I'm not coerced by anybody. So we all know tens of thousands of our workers in our area work in industry. I really want to dispel a couple of things as well, that
this false narrative that industry is the only thing that benefits it, and that it's this mythical organization of people. Industry is the people. These are just facilities. They're run by your neighbors, people you go to church with, people you bump into at HEB. These are the most sought after, or some of the most sought after, highly paid, well compensated, good benefits jobs, and that is the industry. So also this notion that we can't have strong industry and take care of our environment at the same time. Pitting it like this either or proposition is a false narrative. We can have both. I'm a Cub Scout leader, I'm a church volunteer, I'm a neighbor. I love my environment. I go fishing with the Scouts. I fight for our environment. I do not want a wrecked bay. I absolutely love it. This idea that it's an either or proposition is wrong. It's a both and. Desalinization is done thousands of places across the globe. This is a mature technology. It can be done. We will do it the right way, safely, high quality, and take care of our environment around us. We have to do it that way. We have to have the water we need in order to sustain our lifeblood in this economy. So, this idea that by not allowing desalinization, you can see it in their agenda. The science is pretty clear. Look at the environmental impact report that was done. Within 50 feet of the discharge point, there's not a meaningful difference in the salinity. Challenge the science. Bring me the numbers. I want to be convinced outside of this notion that if we stop desalinization, we can stop industrial growth. That's not the right way to do it. Show me the numbers. And then lastly, the costs on this. I know there's a lot of concerns over the recent increase in cost on it. We've had record levels of inflation. If we continue to delay on this, they'll only continue to go up. So I know there's some council members who abstained in the last vote on this. I'd encourage you, make the hard decision. I know it's hard, but if you continue to delay, the cost will only go up. Please support desalinization. We need it for our families, for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Landig. Robert Kelly.
Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Robert Kelly. I live at 205 Chandler Lane here in Corpus Christi, Texas. I am up here to support the desal program. You have all seen the facts time and time again. People over here telling you one way, people over here tell you a different way. I think if we look at what we can learn from what's happened in Europe and the Russians cutting off the gas made everybody realize you have to look at your supply channels for everything that is vital to your success. And success, I mean survival. Oxygen, water, the two most important things that we need. I'm personally tired of being told to look at my neighbors to see if they're watering and to call a number and report them. I'm also tired of having a brown yard. So again, I'm here for desal because we need more water. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Brittany Sotelo, and then it will be John Hale, Marida Forrest, Tracy Cassidy. Is Brittany? No, okay, Brittany's not here. So John Hale.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. John Hale, 14854 Highlands Drive, it's 78418. I'm here today to express my support for the city's effort to build a desalination facility. Beyond the obvious advantage of this project, such as enhancing our community's growth, ensuring a positive future for generations to come, thousands of Coastal Bend residents receiving competitive wages because they're able to work locally, and so many more that I can add, what drives me here is my passion for emergency response and preparedness. As an emergency responder in the community, I can tell you that unrestricted water supply is essential to a safe response to multiple emergency scenarios, from house fires to vehicle accidents, hazardous material spills, or rail incidents. We owe it to local and state agencies who respond to these emergencies. We owe them the ability to respond without concerns of water inventory and not to be thinking about that at the time of the action. As a leader of my son's scouting organization, I have no desire to hurt our resources. However, the studies have shown, and I've reviewed data from other facilities that are running in desalination, and they indicate that we should not expect an impact to our environment, waterways, or bays. And therefore, I am here today to express support for the city's effort to build a desalination project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hale. Marida Forrest? Is Marida Forrest? Oh, sorry, didn't see her.
Merida Forest, 7114 Gray Barber, District 5. I'm here to say no to desal in the Inner Arbor Bay. Thanks to my boss, I can leave the office and come down here during my lunch break and make up my time later. However, many do not. So we then email City Council our comments. But do they get read? A couple reply back, most do not. Today I'm here to read those emails out loud for everyone in this room to hear. Mona L, District 1. Shame on the council for wanting to build a desal plant in a neighborhood. Would you want to live by the desal plant? Would you want to walk out your door and see that and hear that and have to deal with all that pollution? That's what I'm going to have to do. Hillcrest is a neighborhood. We are a neighborhood. Shame on you. I remember when Zanoni said, we weren't a neighborhood, but we are, despite what he says. We have a church too. You're so disrespectful. It's like you're trying to kill us. Shame on you. Mary Alice W., District 5. Stop the plans for desalination plants now. We don't want it, never got to vote on it, and it is a financial disaster that will only lead to massive pollution. Costs have already doubled and are likely to triple. You should not spend that much money. We don't know more closely what the cost will be. It will only raise water bills to residents, with no added water for us. Residents do not benefit from this. Look for other solutions that will not kill our wildlife and tourist industry. Another comment, Isabel A., District 2. We've watched this and previous city councils push desalination for years. Despite the growing concerns voiced by the community, you ignored us. You complained about us. You called us outsiders. Some of you used our position to get elected before promptly turning your back on us. When they didn't work, you straight up started lying to the community. We aren't going to sit idly by. We will counter your money, your contempt and corruption, your lies, your lack of transparency and lack of integrity and cronyism. With our wit, with reading and our ability to think critically, with our commitment to and love for our community, with our integrity, our tenacity, and our commitment to truth and justice, we will win. We are winning. You know you are wrong and we are right. In the future, when people look to this moment, those connected to you will be ashamed and embarrassed by you. When people look at this moment, they will speak of how this was the moment our community made a shift for the better. This is the moment when the rest of the country saw what was possible, when a small band of people came together, built a movement, and fought for the better we deserved and won. John A., no to desal, no to destroying our bays in the Gulf. My personal comment from last week, I emailed to y'all, it's too costly, too much discharge in the bay. It will increase the salinity in the water and kill sea life. It will hurt fishermen and tourism. Let's put this up to a vote like you did with Proposition A on the ballot. No to desal.
Thank you, Ms. Forrest. Tracy Cassidy?
All right, good afternoon, Mayor Guajardo and City Council members. My name is Tracy Cassidy. I live at 337 Claremore Street, and I'm here to request your approval of my application for the library board. I've lived in Corpus Christi since 1985 and I've raised 6 kids here. We spent many hot summer days enjoying our public libraries as a family when my children were young. I could let the 6 of them roam freely throughout the library, check out any books they wanted without ever worrying that they'd be exposed to inappropriate content that they were not yet equipped to handle. But unfortunately, times have changed and that's no longer the case. I'd like to ask each of you just for a second to imagine that you were browsing through books at a medical school library. You'd see books on anatomy, the skeletal system, and so on and so forth. Then imagine you came across an assortment of colorful little Dr. Seuss books. You might say to yourself, wait a minute, these books are in the wrong place. They don't belong here. Someone must have put them here by mistake. And you'd be correct. Now let's flip the coin and imagine you're browsing through the children and young adult section of our Corpus Christi Public Library. You'd observe books about numbers and colors, planets, stars, dinosaurs. Then you come across an assortment of books containing very mature adult-themed content. Again, you might say, wait a minute, these books are in the wrong place, they don't belong here. Somebody must have put them here by mistake. This time you'd only be half right. You'd be correct in saying that those books don't belong in the children's area, but you'd be incorrect in thinking that they were put there by mistake. The problem that we're facing in our libraries is that adult-themed literature is intentionally being placed into the hands of children who are not equipped to handle that subject matter. The solution is easy. Let's put adult material in adult areas. Keep children's material in the children area. If appointed to the library board, I would not advocate for policies that ban books. I would not advocate for policies for the far right wing. I wouldn't advocate for policies for the far left wing. I'd advocate for policies that do the right thing. I'd advocate for policies that represent the will of the vast majority of voters in Corpus Christi who simply want their libraries to go back to the safe spaces they were in the past. Thank you for considering my application.
Thank you, Ms. Cassidy. Terry Mills.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, City Manager. I must have got your name. My name is Terry Mills, 6702 Everhart Road. I'm in favor of desal, and here are my reasons. There's exclamation why. Desalinization provides a secure water supply that is crucial for our local industry, who is in turn provide thousands of jobs for our residents. Our major employer includes chemical and petrochemical manufacturers that give back to the community by making a difference. If not now, when? We're going to eventually run out of water, and this is the time to do it and be done with it. We've talked about this over and over and over. It's costly, but we have to bite the bullet and do it. If we don't do it now, when are we going to do it? But I am in favor of it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Blanca Parkinson.
Blanca Parkinson, 10801 Silverton Drive, Corpus Christi, Texas. I'd like to first thank Councilwoman Campos and Councilman Klein for your votes last week. And I'm here today to ask you all to follow in their leadership and their courage. Three facts came last week, became part of the public record. Three facts that I have personally been coming up here for 2 years, almost 3 years, to have you understand and put in your heads. And I wish the uninformed pro-desalination activists would understand this. The news, the local podunk news is not going to say this. This council, this body is not going to acknowledge this. But this is now part of the public record. Go back and watch the item discussion from last week. Number one, this plant is the only plant of its kind in the world. He said it straight to Mike Pusley's face last week. There is not another plant in the world that has the intake and the discharge in the same general location. You're gonna be sucking up brine and that thing's gonna shut down. And you know it. This is the only plant of its kind in the world. The other two, that's number one, okay? So do not say that there's plants all over the world that are doing this. Nobody's stupid enough to put the intake and discharge in a closed-based system. Number two, this plant is at $1.7 billion. It was $500 million 5 years ago. And when Esteban Ramos was asked why the price discrepancy, and I quote, he said, and I quote, because the model that the regional water planning group used does not understand desalination. And so your numbers are coming up less than it was 5 years ago. This plant is $1.7 billion right now. This loan, the SWIFT loan, is not going to put a dent in it. The grant is not going to put a dent in it. The $20 million that industry threw at you for unlimited use of our water is not going to put a dent in it. Our water rates are going to absorb this cost. Fact number 3, which Councilman Klein brought up. The only 2 large-scale water desalination plants in this, seawater desalination plants in this country are shutting down every 2 months for cleanings. This is not reliable, it is not uninterruptible, and when he was asked what the backup plan is, he replied, well, Councilman, we have to continue to find and fund other sources. So what's gonna happen when your disaster shuts down? We know what's gonna happen because I've watched you for 2 years perform a psychological operation on this town, telling us to feel guilty for brushing our teeth when you know that the industries are taking between 70 and 80% of our water. What's next? Are you gonna tell us how to wash? No to desalination and learn your facts.
Mike Raffay, and then we'll have Arturo Lima, Mark Munster, and Port Commissioner David Engel.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Raffay. I live at 5245 South Oso Parkway, District 5. I'm here today to speak in favor of desalination, and I'd like to remind everybody why we need this desalination plant by highlighting where our water really goes. The normal inflow to our watershed is the equivalent of 376 million gallons a day. Our regional water demand is only 98 million, so it should be fine, right? Well, we've got some losses that we need to talk about. We have required discharges to maintain salinity in the Corpus Christi, in the Nueces Bay. That accounts to between 87 to 123 million gallons a day. We lose a whole lot to evaporation. 154 million gallons a day is lost to evaporation. That's 1.5 times the residential and industrial demand every day is lost to evaporation. Our watershed also recharges 5 different aquifer recharge zones. An unknown amount of water is lost to that. You add in the combined losses, they total up to anywhere from 280 to 315 million gallons a day versus a 376 million gallon a day water source. We're broke. It's a net deficit of 37 million gallons a day to barely breaking even. Then now we include Mary Rose Pipeline. That brings up to an additional 60 million gallons a day of water source. And now we're about where we are to support Corpus Christi and the regional area in 2020. The growth that we've had here in the past decades has been great. It's brought in a lot of good jobs. It's grown the city tremendously. But that growth also requires additional water. And in order to sustain the growth, we need more water. The 30 million gallon a day plant that we're going to be building is going to help us continue to grow the city the way we all need it to be. We need this ground-proof water source to meet our current and future demand. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raffay. Arturo Lima.
Good morning, good afternoon. Arturo Lima, 317 People Street, Corpus Christi, Texas, 78401. I'm here to speak against desalination. I find it quite convenient that suddenly so many people decided to show up to speak out against desalination after the last city council meeting. It seems, I wrote a public comment, but I feel that the biggest problem here is people don't have the information. People don't have the information because a gentleman came here and said that he's tired of having to watch his neighbors sit there watering their lawn and tired of not watering his. From my understanding, we're still going to be on drought restrictions even if we build this desalination plant and our water rates are going to go up. There's just, the information's not out there, and unfortunately I'd have to put the blame on City Council who's pushing for this desalination plant. I have a report here, the out-of-place report, and some of the findings include Without the high rate of growth in the petrochemical and industrial manufacturing industries, the coastal bend region would not need such a large volumes of additional water supply. A lot of people here are excited about industrial growth, but I myself am not. I drove over to Kalalan this weekend, and the sight of all those refineries, the sight of the smoked fire is quite disgusting and not a place where people want to move to. Today I arrived here to City Council and I see the demonstrators outside of City Council, and they're all young people who are going to inherit this city and this community. They are aware of what this is going to do to their environment, and they don't want it. They want different kind of growth. They want different kinds of opportunities. But the same people who got us into the mess we're in, including the pollution of our waters, the pollution of our air, continue to want more of those petrochemical industries in Corpus Christi. We have a potential in other ways. We have a beautiful natural environment, which is at risk if this desalination plant is built. We have a youth that's more engaged than ever, who know that the climate change disaster that is coming, and they want other opportunities, but you continue to push for something that won't fix our problems to begin with. This report has plenty of concerns regarding this desalination plant. So what I would like to ask you is to, put a campaign out there to give us the information, hold town halls, hear both sides. I feel the more information people have, the better informed they will be. And if we can have a public vote on this, I feel that would be ideal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lima. Mark Munster.
Hi, my name is Mark Minster. I live at 2921 Airline. This past Friday, I was able to be at the Hector P. Garcia luncheon honoring his legacy, and it was attended by the mayor and a lot of members of the city council here today. We were all reminded about Dr. Garcia's fight against discrimination and his commitment to justice and equality for every member of our community, especially those that are marginalized and may not have their voices heard. Dr. Garcia faced challenges not from societal norms, but from the very structures of power and governance meant to protect, uplift, and speak for every citizen. I feel that it's relevant and important to remember these values today. Progress is hollow if it's built on the foundation of injustice. The Hillcrest community now faces uncertainty and they're at the risk of further marginalization. Have they not already gone through enough? There's a reason they have a Title VI complaint against the city. It's important that our decisions not only address our city's water needs, but also honor the rights and dignity of every resident. This is an injustice to the Hillcrest neighborhood, and it's just one issue on top of the environmental impact, the amount of money being spent, and considering the future cost to maintain and expand this in the future. Please inform the public and put it to vote. I think it's safe to assume that the people of Corpus are not going to be paying the same rate for water per gallon as the industry is. I urge the City Council to approach this vote with deep commitment to justice for the greater good. Please vote for each item individually and vote against desalination and against putting profits before the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Munster. Commissioner David Engel.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. On behalf of the Port of Corpus Christi and your three city appointees, Gabe Guerra and Rajan Aluja, I'm here to support what you're doing today on desalination. We commend your efforts. We do know that there is a need for water in this area, and an uninterruptible source will not only take care of the current citizens that are here, but the future growth and economic development. Why do we need economic development? Well, they create jobs. People that have the funds to be able to go out and buy cars or refrigerators or furniture create tax dollars that you can use to pay for police and schools and streets and the things that are very important to the citizens of Corpus Christi. So we're in favor of what we need to do to create more water for this area. We know at the port that you are the sole provider of water for this region. We also know that our staff has been working diligently over the last year with your staff to find other sources of water to sustain this area and again, provide water for us today and for the future. So we commend what you're doing. We thank you and we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. John Weber.
John Weber, 609 Maple Street. I request items 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 be withdrawn for individual consideration. I oppose items 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 32. It sounds like the city wants to start spending money even before they take on more debt. There is currently a Title VI complaint pending regarding this plant. Have any of the council read this complaint to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the EPA, the U.S. Department of Justice? It is only 44 pages long. Let me read one paragraph. Next slide. The city has chosen to take steps to move forward with this purchase of the property in the Hillcrest neighborhood for the proposed Inner Harbor desalination plant, despite a clear history of discrimination by the city and other governmental entities in the Hillcrest neighborhood and vocal opposition to this proposed location from Hillcrest residents and faith leaders. These ongoing actions reveal the city's prioritization of industrial development in the Hillcrest community that will exacerbate existing disparate harms based on race. The city's decision to move forward with the Inner Harbor location threatens the health, safety, and well-being of the Hillcrest community, and its ongoing actions to site this facility constitute a continuing violation of Title VI. Next slide. Title VI was enacted as part of the Landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964. It prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, and national origin in programs and activities receiving federal financial assistance. If a recipient of federal assistance is found to have discriminated and voluntary compliance cannot be achieved, the federal agency providing the assistance should either initiate fund termination proceedings or refer the matter to the Department of Justice for appropriate legal action. Without any public meetings in the predominantly historic black neighborhood of Hillcrest, a case can be made the city is acting in a way that has the effect of discrimination. To spend any time and effort on getting a federal grant before the Title VI complaint is resolved is wasteful. If the city were proposing this desalination plant in the Kings Crossing neighborhood, how would the city handle this process? The Hillcrest neighborhood should be treated the same way the Kings Crossing neighborhood would be treated. As always, have a nice day.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. Ryan Dixon.
Hello, my name's Ryan Dixon. I live at 5633 Timbergate Drive in the south side of Corpus Christi. I'm here today to voice my support for the desalination project and encourage you to continue your support as well. I've heard several commentators argue that this desalination facility only benefits industry and not the residents of Corpus Christi. Water is a fundamental need. The project provides Corpus Christi and the greater coastal bend area that also relies on the city for its water an opportunity to control its own water destiny, facing a future where water supply is increasingly uncertain and scarce. When it comes to industry, I believe that benefits to industry can't be split from benefits to citizens. Industry drives the economic growth of this region. It funds our school and our infrastructure projects. It makes up a substantial portion of our tax base. It attracts new people to our area and provides head of household job opportunities to those already here. Desalination is well-established and proven technology that will provide the coastal bend with water security that allows economic growth to continue. For these reasons, I'm in support of the desalination project and hope you will continue your support as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Jennifer Espino.
Jennifer Espino, 7122 Fremont. I work a 9 to 5. I'm a very ordinary working class person. I don't really have the time nor ability to be here every week, but I do make time to watch just about every council meeting. I'm usually here to advocate for a low barrier or open entry shelter, but today I'm here to remind you that we're watching you. The folks speaking out against desalination at council week after week are only a small fraction of the growing opposition that many of you continuously choose to disregard, an opposition that far outweighs support. Not only is our community watching you, communities all over are watching, because what happens here has the potential to have enormous negative ripple effects all over. It has implications for many industries, ecosystems, and most importantly for many communities like ours, already overburdened by industrial expansion. My heart breaks watching council members on their phone or get up while dedicated young people like Maggie Peacock tries to take an active role in shaping the direction of our city through the proper channels and with a much greater deal of respect than some of you reciprocate or quite frankly have earned. A reminder that not all on council were elected. I cringe watching council behave poorly, break decorum, or arbitrarily apply rules to those of us down here while letting so much slide by those who sit on the dais. I also want to remind folks that many of us use and know Robert's rules very well, and I think the council could use a briefing to ensure they do too. A reminder that trying to hinder John Weber's of all people's ability to give public comment on agenda items will not serve you in the long run. Many of you have already learned the hard way that his reputation for doing his research and coming with receipts is one well earned. I sat shocked as I watched David Lowe cut off Mr. Weber last week because he had to pick up his kids, as if other folks like Dr. Isabel Araiza, who wasn't able to give public comment last week or be here today, don't also have to juggle their second shift as parents. Unfortunately, none of this comes as a surprise to me. The disregard many of you have shown for decorum is the same disregard you've shown for the civil rights of the residents of Hillcrest, the disregard you've shown for environmental justice, and the disregard you've shown for data, research, science, and expert analysis. I am not the first, even today, to mention the AutoCase cost-benefit analysis study done last year that shows in no uncertain terms that desalination is neither the most cost-efficient nor most environmentally sound solution to our problems that large polluting industries and high-volume users created to begin with. It's time to prioritize the will and needs of the people down here giving public comment instead of the desires of Goliath corporations whose voices have managed to drown ours out. Our problems are too enormous to let those who created and continue to exacerbate them dictate the solutions. Use your noggins, and as always, remember we are watching you.
Thank you, Mrs. Spino. Philip Childs. Item 4, okay. Okay, Armon Alex.
Howdy folks, good morning, afternoon, excuse me. My name is Armon Alex. I live at 1610 La Jolla Street, 78417. Last week I had mentioned about the decision around desalination being a part of y'all's legacies, and I kind of want to continue in that spirit today. And so I'd like to mention that we live in a city where a lot of folks talk about cheese men. So the reputations of leaders in our area can be really quickly tarnished, and I just want to remind you of that. So let's take a quick trip to the future. Let's say the year is 2034, for example, and we're looking back, and we're going to read a newspaper article about what this city council decided to do 10 years ago, which is now 2024. So the headline would read, "A decade of desolation, Corpus Christi regrets approval of ill-fated desalination plant." In a somber reflection on the events that transpired a decade ago, Corpus Christi stands as a testament to the perils of short-sighted decision-making. The ill-fated approval of a desalination plant by 6 out of 9 city council members, including the mayor, in 2024 has since cast a dark shadow over the coastal sparkling city, leaving behind a trail of environmental destruction, economic hardship, and the erasure of a historic Black community. Under the portion that would talk about economic impact, it would say, once held as a beacon of economic progress, water rates skyrocketed over the years, disproportionately burdening households while industry enjoyed favorable pricing per 1,000 gallons. The city's economy, once buoyed by a thriving ecotourism industry, now struggles in the wake of environmental degradation, leaving businesses and residents alike grappling with the fallout and food off the table. In the section under environmental degradation, it would say, the Bay system, once teeming with life and attracting ecotourists from far and wide, now bears the scars of the desalination plant's operations. The ecological balance has been disrupted, leading to a decline in marine life and a significant hit to the tourism sector. What was promised as a solution to water scarcity now stands as a stark reminder of the false promises of desal and the destruction industry campaign contributions can have. under the section that would go to Hillcrest community eradication, it would say, perhaps the most tragic consequence of the 2024 City Council's decision is the witnessed eradication of the historic Black community of Hillcrest. Already burdened by the presence of fossil fuel-related industries, Hillcrest faced the brunt of the desalination plant's negative impacts. The once vibrant neighborhood, teeming with culture, with its rich history and resilient community spirit, has been sacrificed in the name of industry progress and stands as a story of environmental injustice. My last note really quickly is also I'm in favor of the city expediting the restoration and rehabilitation of the Little Martin House, which is a historic Black house in the Heritage Park area. I am against desal.
Thank you, Mr. Alex. Beatrice Alvarado.
Hello, my name is Beatriz Alvarado and I live in District 2. I'm the new water campaign, I'm the new water organizer for Texas Campaign for the Environment. We have over 30,000 members across Texas, and thanks to your racist and reckless decision-making, we are gaining a lot more locally. I'm here to oppose all the agenda items related to building the first large-scale seawater desalination facility in Texas, in what's left of the Hillcrest neighborhood. I am more of a background person, writer by trade, but similar to many here today, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone to ensure that those who vote in favor of desalination or abstain are remembered for selling our drinking water to the culprits of the climate crisis. Everyone who can vote or mobilize their networks to vote will know that facilities like Gulf Coast Growth Ventures use 12 million gallons of our drinking water per day to make more plastic. They will know who to blame for our water rates doubling by 2029. So you can sit there and say you're legally binded to continue to funnel our tax and utility payments to the billionaires that you've lured here with steep discounts. But for those of us who have been paying attention, we know you have leverage that you're not willing to use to challenge the status quo that's been set by the worst in City Council's history. I wasn't here last week because me and my team were plotting how to get you out of office. Your vision of progress is antiquated and out of touch with most of the constituents you claim to represent. Most of us have learned through your mistakes that putting the pursuit of economic growth above human need and environmental protection for the benefit of an industry that puts workers, communities, and the world in danger is neither good nor necessary. Most of us are on a mission to ensure our city council reflects our values as the climate crisis worsens. I know you won't reconsider your decision to make desalination a reality. These billionaires have been in y'all's ears way longer than we have. We just want you to know that we won't sit back and let this happen without consequence, especially when you're making us pay for your mistakes. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Alvarado. Gabriel Flores.
Good morning, or good afternoon, I guess. My name is Gabriel Flores. I live at 6121 Long Creek Drive. I was born and raised here in Corpus Christi and attended the university here, getting my bachelor's in biochemistry, and I currently work at Driscoll Children's Hospital. I'm here to voice my opposition to the desalination plan proposition. I do not believe the environmental consequences have been thoroughly studied and call into question the ability of the proposed site to adequately be able to handle a desal plant of this estimated magnitude, being one of the largest in the nation. This also brings into question the cost of the project, which has more than doubled, reaching beyond $500 million since the proposal estimated 5 years ago. Asking the public to pay for a project instigated by deals made between the city and corporations like Exxon and Steel Dynamics because they exhausted our water supply ahead of schedule is unjust. Marketing the water as for the people of Corpus Christi is misleading at best. This is all not to mention the residents of the Hillcrest community whose history with the city of Corpus Christi and nearby industry shows a trend of blatant disregard for health and the well-being of those living there. A pending Title VI civil rights complaint should have been more than enough to call into question the motives of these plans and trigger a delay to this vote. I ask the council to please proceed with caution with so many factors at play and with so many people's livelihoods at stake. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Sharon Weschler, and then we'll have Samuel Fryer, Margot Masagamba, and then Selena Obregon.
Good afternoon. I'm Sharon Wexler. I live at 6741 Sharks Court, Corpus Christi, 78414, District 5. I'm here today to let you know that I'm against the proposed desalination plants that are under consideration and the funding that is being sought for these plants. The price tag keeps increasing by millions of dollars for a supply of water that would be funded by taxpayers, but would only really benefit big corporations. If these corporations want these plants, they should fund them. Also, we do not want to kill our bay. Our bay is one of the best things about this city, and we do not want to do any harm to that, which would influence tourism. So no to desal, no to taxpayers funding desal, and the taxpayers should be able to vote on this plant. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wexler. Samuel Fryer?
Good morning, Council. I'm Samuel Fryer. I live at 2222 Hernandez Lane. I want to give you a slight reprieve from all of the no desal, but please do not allow this reprieve to be overlooked, because if there was the 80 individuals that we had 2 years ago that signed a citizens initiative that asked for the city to do a particular thing that was against the vaccines themselves for COVID, it would be 4 hours by itself. So keep that in mind, 4 hours by itself. So I'm here, of course, to stand up against the Partnering for Vaccine Equity grant of $75,000 from the National Association of County and City Health Officials and the related $75,000 appropriations that was going to be provided to provide communications campaign to strengthen COVID-19 and influenza vaccines. Now, why am I against it? Well, if you look at the actual societies, the National Association of County and City Health Officials, what their goal is, it says this: the past project seeks to increase local health departments' capacity to increase vaccination uptake and address inequities in influenza and COVID-19 vaccination coverage among racial and ethnic minority adults. When I hear that, I think of 1932 to 1972, the Tuskegee syphilis study. We know, if you ask any individuals, or over 100 people here, how many of them have taken the COVID-19 shots, how many multiple boosters that they take, guarantee you the majority who have taken it have gotten COVID over and over and over again. It's only the individuals who haven't taken it that once they get it, their immune system is strong, they don't have a problem anymore. We sat there then and we asked the city to work with the public health district in order to promote, inform, educate the public on COVID-19 early treatment protocols that have been developed and by experienced physicians effectively treating COVID-19 patients and used successfully by the United States-based doctors and telecommunication physicians. But nevertheless, that was ignored, completely ignored. If you chose to say, well, let them go and get 9,000 signatures to put it on a ballot, push it almost a whole year before we do anything. That's concerning. That is very concerning, because we need to do more for our people. So I ask you to stand against this, have equity. Anytime you hear equity as a problem, stand against it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fryer. Margot Masagamba.
Hello, I'm a resident of Corpus Christi, Texas. My name is Margot Masagamba. I live at 6105 Jessica Drive. plants in my city for the following reasons. Number one, I am concerned that brine production and discharging into the bay will be toxic to marine life. What is the impact on marine life in the Bay Area? Corpus Christi Bay is approximately 11 feet deep versus the ocean, which is approximately 12,785 feet. Why can't the brine be discharged to the ocean instead of the bay? Number two, desalination plants use a lot of energy to generate power. We already have problems with energy outages in our area and throughout the state. In fact, there were two fires on my street when it was cold a couple of weeks ago. And, you know, the fire department had to come and handle it. Number three, the Hillcrest neighborhood has been targeted for this plant. This is a historic black neighborhood with families still living there. Why doesn't the city consider another location such as Padre Island? I strongly feel that this is environmental racism at its finest. Number four, the industry can develop their own technologies to recapture and reuse the millions of gallons that they dump back into the bay, but they'd rather we fund desalination for them. I don't think it is fair that you did not allow the residents to vote on this issue, especially when you expect us to put the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Masagama. Selena Obregon? Is Ms. Obregon here? Okay, she's not. Henry Williams?
Yeah. City council members, city manager, city secretary. I am in opposition to the Inahoma desalination. You know, and I can't say that I am opposed to all desalination. But the desalination, the Inahoma desalination, I am opposed to. I am a Hillcrest. My name is Henry Williams, 2422 Summer Street, Corpus Christi, Texas, zip code 78407. Excuse me, Mayor. The city has a water rights proposal that was granted to you by TCEQ. The source of water would be the Corpus Christi Ship Channel. Okay. The Corpus Christi Ship Channel is not a viable source, okay, for the water needs that you have expressed here for 500,000 people. Okay? With the ship channel water, okay, and the problems with ship channel water, as well as the brine going back into the ship channel, then into the bay. A viable source needs to be found. I'm also one who, our scripture speaks of all things being done decently and in order. There's a way to find a viable solution. But the Inahoma desalination project is not the viable solution. I want to thank you all for allowing me to speak with you. And if you would, there is a viable solution, and we must remember that. But it is not the Inahoma desalination project, because of it will destroy the Hillcrest neighborhood, and it will be destructive to our marine life and our bay. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Williams. Isabel and Isa? Isabel? Is Isabel and Isa here? She's not. Davy Edwards, and then we'll have Susie Saldana.
I will wait for the item, Mayor. Item 4.
Okay, I'm JV. Susie Saldana. Oh, that was you, I'm sorry, we're Davey, okay, sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, my name is Davey Edwards. I live at 8106 Grand Canyon, Corpus Christi. I'm speaking in support of agenda items 98, 72, and 73, the desalination project for the city of Corpus Christi. As you've heard, we are experiencing growth within the city of Corpus Christi and surrounding areas. Approximately 20% increase since Hurricane Harvey. And the need for fresh potable water is also increasing. The need is compounded by our current drought over the last couple of years, seeing lake levels at around 30% full, which dropped about 10% within the last year. The proposed desalination plant in our area would help with the creation of a resilient, sustainable source of fresh potable water with positive impact to the community, with potential of creating additional employment opportunities and subsidiary growth and development, with the potential of having 100% funding through federal grants and other opportunities. This opportunity appears to be a win-win for the city of Corpus Christi and surrounding community. I come from an area that we didn't have viable options for water supply, and when drought happens over years and years and not being able to have a solution to that water resource, this is a fresh way of looking at gaining water source that we can all have in our homes. Therefore, I am in support of the Inner Harbor Desalination Treatment Plant. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Don Osborne.
Good morning. Don Osborne, 1605 Mestina, District 1. I have been struggling over the last few days, wondering if I would speak. My feeling is that this is a foregone conclusion and nothing I say will make a difference. A bit of difference, mine is a small voice in a huge struggle between manufacturing, environmental, and individual needs. I have come late into the desalination argument and admittedly do not know all that has gone on before. When trying to catch up, I know that I was at the limits of my depression and my depression medication. This just seems like too big of a fight for me to become emotionally tied up in, but I cannot help it. I have sat back and watched big environmental polluters take over this city and actually the world. The ruling class continues to run rampant over the will of the people because they are so busy trying to eke out a survival that we do not have the time or energy to become involved. It is not that we are apathetic, it is just that we are so overwhelmed. The city will do what the manufacturing base wills them to do because the large polluters have placed them in a position to need more water for themselves and for the small consumer. It is so depressing that we have allowed ourselves to be in this position, having to choose further experimentation of our environment and the degradation of our city for the benefits of the elites. I also, while I was researching some of this, I came across an article, 5 things you need to know about desalination. In most desalination processes, for every liter of potable water produced, 1.5 liters of liquid polluted chlorine with copper are created. This wastewater concentrate is twice as saline as ocean water. If not properly diluted and dispersed, it may form a dense plume of toxic brine, which can degrade coastal and marine ecosystems unless treated. Increased salinity and temperature can increase the dissolved oxygen content, can decrease the dissolved oxygen content, and can contribute to the formation of dead zones where very few marine organisms can live. I also came across another article, The Future of Desalination in Texas. and this is from 2016, states that M&G Resins USL LLC, M&G Resins USA LLC, an Italian chemical company, is a producer of polyethylene terephthalate and polyethylene terephthalate. Anyways, the article goes on to say that it's continues to put in more saline in our bay, and we approve this 412 acres.
Thank you, Mr.
And we need relief.
Maggie Peacock? Is Maggie? Yes, okay. Then we'll have Neil McQueen, Eli McKay, Jake Hernandez, and Alicia Casperdes.
Alrighty. Maggie Peacock, 1773 Ennis-Jocelyn Road. I want to do something. I want everyone to look at me. Okay, there you go. Okay, well, there, okay, cool. For those of you looking, thank you. But why aren't you taking in what we're saying? You can look all you want, well, some of y'all still aren't, but you have heard the science. You have seen how much it is going to cost community members. You know desal is for industry, even though we're the ones paying for it, and we will be for a really, really long time. I mean, over $7 million, and probably way more than that. You all are screwing us over for years to come. You have heard the stories and lived experiences of people living in Hillcrest. We have told you how it's going to kill our bay, the fishing industry. Also, students at TAMUCC who study marine biology. I was one of those students. They come to TAMUCC to study marine biology in the bay. It's going to be dead. The tourism industry. You have heard all of this, but you're just hearing it, you're not actually listening. I asked y'all last week and many weeks before that, and I will ask again, what is the point of being a public official if you are not listening to community members? What is the thing that we can do to convince y'all otherwise? What is it? How can we change your mind? Because right now you have dozens of community members from all walks of life. We have elders in the community fighting against this. This morning, there was a little girl making a poster against desalination. All walks of life, whether they're new to Corpus or have been here for years, saying that we do not want or need this in our bay. So what is it? Because we have been rallying and protesting for years. What is the thing that we can do to make y'all listen to us? Because we have endless meetings and sent countless emails and written so many public comments and have taken off work and skipped class. What can we do? It's just funny that real true community members have been advocating against desal for years, and then we have pro-desal people or industry people who come up in their little suits and say they're pro-desal with no facts or completely contradict themselves, and y'all listen to them because they're connected to industry or have money or in y'all's little circles. So I just want to know, what is it to make y'all listen to us, because I don't know what else to say anymore. So all of y'all who are still pro-desal, shame on y'all. Y'all should feel shame.
Thank you, Ms. Peacock. Neil McQueen.
Mayor and Council, Neil McQueen, out of the 4213 Estate Drive. I'm a co-chair of the Texas Coastal Med chapter of the Surfrider Foundation, and in my career I have more than 20 years of experience in environmental compliance in the drinking water industry. Until the designs for all the desalination plants being proposed around Corpus Christi Bay include locating the intakes and discharges offshore in the Gulf of Mexico, our chapter will continue to oppose them. Our position is supported by the findings of the General Land Office, the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, and respected scientists at the Hart Research Institute and the University of Texas Marine Science Institute. Whether the projected cost for this plant is $550 million, $752 million, or $1 billion, that's too much. Our ratepayer money would be better spent repairing our aging drinking water infrastructure, bolstering industrial and residential wastewater recycling and water conservation efforts, and drilling wells in the Gulf of Angelin Aquifer. When it comes to wastewater recycling especially, we have only skimmed the surface of what's possible. If built, this plant would cause further harm to the Hillcrest neighborhood, I'd also like to point out that TCQ has only issued a draft discharge permit for the proposed plant, and that it's still subject to public comment and a possible contested case hearing. We need to stop viewing our bays as expendable commodities to be exploited, and instead see them as a precious resource that should be protected for current and future generations. Once a water body becomes polluted from industrial and urban discharges, it's very difficult and costly to restore them to their original state. And if you want proof of this, I urge you to take a look at TCQ's success rate on the TMDL program statewide. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ruby. Eli McKay.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council, City Manager. My name is Eli McKay, and like all of you, I live on the land of the Karankawa and Lapon Apache peoples at what is now 1008 Marguerite Street in District 1. I was going to wait till the item, but I was just drawn to speak with so many speakers. I'm here today to speak in support of the passage of the water, wastewater, stormwater, and roadway master plans. As a member of the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee, I spent throughout the last 9 months a lot of time attending 16 different meetings and workshops, as well as countless hours at home reviewing every previous meeting that was happening prior to my being on the committee. I'm one of the members of the committee. While most of them are folks who work within the development community, I am just a community representative. I'm a small business owner and have worked a lot in retail in the past in a lot of big cities across Texas and Colorado. So I applied myself, as a community representative to learn as much as I could about these plans and how they're going to impact our city once approved. Our city staff and the consultants from Pape Dawson did a great job making the plans easy to review and understand, even to those of us who are not engineers. These plans are the first steps in rectifying years of poor decisions made by previous councils going as far back as 2006. And so I do urge you to approve those today. And with my remaining minute and 20 seconds, all of you know I am against desal. I am definitely against desal in the Hillcrest neighborhood. I think it's the wrong place. I think, there's a lot of alternatives that you could do and a lot of better ways to spend the money. As Mr. McQueen just said, our aging infrastructure needs a lot of work, and that's why I am in support of these master plans, because it's not just about water, it's all these other things, the roads we drive on, the toilets we flush, all of the different things. And so I am definitely against Hillcrest desalination. I would urge my councilman to change his vote from last week or any of y'all others. And I stand with Hillcrest. I don't think that environmental racism is the way to go, and I think we can do better as a city. I think that the community here, if the folks understood how it was going to impact the Hillcrest neighborhood, I would hope that the folks who are in support of it today would reconsider and understand that community members are more important than money coming into industrial businesses. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McKay. Jake Hernandez.
Hi, Jake Hernandez, 488 Palmetto Street, District 2. Here today is a concerned resident who has attended these meetings multiple times to ask you to please put a stop to desalination. The many concerns around the construction of the Inner Harbor desal plant do not need to be dismissed. The immense price tag, the environmental concerns, and the racist placement of the desal plant right in the middle of the Hillcrest neighborhood are all things that have been callously disregarded. Despite all of the public outcry, you continue to use your positions to benefit the pockets of your industrial buddies. My guess is most of you are not concerned about your longevity in city council, because we have seen you reject our requests to end desalination, and then we are going to reject your requests for your vote. For all the residents that have come up to speak here today in support of desalination, saying that we need a more consistent water source for the city, I ask you, why do you not request that City Council enact harsher restrictions onto the industries who use up so much of our water supply? And if your answer to that is, you think that the industries will go under if they do not have unrestricted access to our water, then congratulations. What you've just learned is that the fossil fuel industry is unsustainable and has a bad business model that is destined to fail. My other concern is that the city does not have the competence or even the willingness to guarantee that they will protect our bay. The way that council has disregarded the science and continues to go forward with building a desalination plant in the Hillcrest neighborhood has showed me that you don't care. So please, stop holding our city hostage to the fossil fuel industry and listen to your constituents. We all know what you're trying to do. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Alicia Capt.Eric.
Good afternoon. My name is Alicia Capt.Eric, and I'm the Executive Officer for the Coastal Bend Home Builders Association, located at 5325 Yorktown Boulevard, 78413. I'm here today to express our association's continued support of the city's initiative for a secure water source. We firmly support any initiative that secures a sustainable water supply for our community, for current citizens and future generations. Our Home Builders Association represents over 230 members who employ thousands of workers across the Coastal Bend. Our association's mission is to promote the values and benefits of new home construction, growing our community. As I expressed before, the sustained growth and prosperity of our region are fundamentally linked to the availability of reliable water sources. We believe in proactive measures to ensure our area's continued development and success. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Capt.Eric. Catherine Aller. And then we'll hear from Robert Rivera, Vicky Natali, Mary Carter, Heather Shields.
Good afternoon. My name is Catherine Oler. I live at 1400 Ocean Drive, 78404, and I am in District 1. And I see that my representative has stepped out. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area, but I am only speaking for myself today. There are two issues on which I will comment. First, I urge you to not bite the hands that feed our city by not following a precedent that has served this city for over 60 years by providing funding and services to the City of Corpus Christi Public Libraries. To not appoint an applicant who is a member of the Friends of the Library, an organization that has contributed time, effort, and support to our public libraries for many years, it would be literally a gut punch to the Friends of the Library, as well as to the thousands of library users who benefit from their sustaining support. I urge you to appoint a member, the Friends of the Library member, people who are immensely qualified to keep our libraries accessible to everyone. Second, I again urge you to not bite the hands that feed our city by placing a desalination port in our port, literally, our backyard. The costs are huge, as are the ecological risks to our unique ecosystem, particularly our bays and estuaries. We already have a massive industrial front door to our sparkling city by the sea. Why would you want to add even more big industry that jeopardizes our ecological and environmental systems, fishing and tourism industries, and health, and the dissolution of an important neighborhood in Hillcrest. Thank you for your time. I hope you take it.
Thank you, Ms. Solar. Robert Rivera? Is Mr. Rivera here? Okay. Vicky Natali?
Hello, my name is Dr. Vicky Natali, and I live at 142 Naples Street. I'm here to express my support for Jennifer Anderson for the library board. Jennifer is the candidate that's been nominated by the Friends of the Corpus Christi Public Libraries, which is a nonprofit organization that raises funds to donate to our Corpus Christi Public Libraries. Jennifer is an impeccable candidate who is a librarian at Texas A&M University Corpus Christi, and she currently serves as the recording secretary to the board for the Friends of the Public Library. As a past library board member, I have studied comparative data from the Texas State Libraries and Archives Commission, which is the state agency that establishes the rules and regulations for Texas public libraries. The data shows that the revenue per capita for the Corpus Christi Public Libraries has consistently been under the statewide average for libraries serving communities of similar metro size. Excuse me. Corpus Christi's made some significant improvements in funding for library over the past 4 years, and we thank you for that. But we still have a long way to go to be on par with other communities that are in our comparative group. This is why the Friends of the Corpus Christi Public Libraries is so important. They have provided much needed additional funding for libraries and services programs. Therefore, it is essential for the city to acknowledge and support the libraries, the Friends of the Corpus Christi Public Libraries, by appointing its nominee, who will serve as a liaison between the library board and the board for the Friends of the Corpus Christi Public Libraries. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for your service on the City Council.
Thank you, Ms. Natali. Mary Carter?
My name is Mary Carter, and I live at 3401 Alameda Street. I wanted to mention something about, I think if you should vote no on the desalinization, because we have global warming. And I think a lot of people don't understand that to have a weather system with thunderstorms and the 4 seasons and everything, you need a mixture of hot and cold climate. And the desalinization will add to the heating of the climate we already have. We already have all these problems with rivers drying up, all worldwide, the forest fire, all of these things. And if you continue to use fossil fuels and make these more plastics and more, it just turns our dynamic weather system into a mono, which is heating, and it will continue heating. And that's critical that that doesn't happen. And there are other solutions other than desalinization for, you know, and we have to consider the climate change. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Heather Shields?
Hello. I'm just gonna make sure I get all eyes on me. You represent me. Hello. My name is Heather Shields. My address is 1230 Crescent Street, Corpus Christi, Texas 78418. I live in Flower Bluff. I shop at H-E-B with some of you. Some of the same people that were elected to represent me. And I look at you and you smile at me when I'm shopping in the store. I voted for you because I thought that you would represent me and my family. It is really disappointing to see the same people that I run into the store, the same people that I voted for, who were elected to represent us, are making decisions that primarily benefit heavy polluting industrial users. Your plans ignore your community, the environment, and your neighbors. Your neighbors. When will you realize that what you're doing is making us sick, and it's going to make you sick too? Or are you just going to vote on this and then vote and move away? Because I'm kind of feeling that's what's going to happen. You're going to move off to San Antonio or something. You want us to be sick. You want to keep us sick. You want to bill us for it on top of that, on our utility bills. I'm sorry, I'm very upset at this. This is my first time here. I know, you keep looking at the clock like I'm going to be over or that I'm rambling, but I am upset. Hold on, I wrote down so much. I am a disabled veteran, a mother of 3. I want to continue living in Corpus Christi. I have family here. I want to buy a house. But how can I do that when I don't know how much my utilities will be? How do I do that when my city council members, which I saw on TV last week, my city council members don't care about how high that cost will be or don't even know how high that cost will be? I'm literally waiting to buy a house until you guys can decide on desalination, because I don't know, because I'm poor. The only people that are coming up here in favor of desalination are people who have money. Do you not see that? And I'm white. Okay, I'm white. I'm going to put that on the, I'm gonna put that on the agenda. I'm white. And I am so ashamed of you for what you're doing to Hillcrest. You should be ashamed of yourself, and you shouldn't be falling asleep when we're in here. Hillcrest is a historically Black neighborhood. When I moved here, 10 years ago, when I moved here, I started looking at the history of the Black community here because I wanted to know about slavery. How did it impact us? Did you know that there are formerly enslaved Black people buried in Hillcrest? You probably didn't know, because you probably don't care if you're building a desalination plant there. I vote no, but you don't give me the choice to vote no. You just go ahead and use your voices to talk over us.
Jeremy Coleman.
Different being on the side. We have something we're going to give to you all, Mayor and council members. My name is Jeremy Coleman, and for the record, my address I won't disclose here in public, but the city secretary has it. Before I read this resolution that you are going to receive, many of you I have walked in the MLK March with. Some of you all have attended Juneteenth events. Some of you have been a part of meetings with Dr. Scott, Reverend Carrington, Virginia Brown, Claude Axel, and many other of our Black leaders here in the community. For the last several months, and specifically last night to 1 a.m. and all this morning, I have been on the phone with my state and my national office to come to this conclusion with this resolution, which was not an easy decision. Some of you all have had the ability to speak with, and I appreciate you just stopping just to have a quick conversation with me. But this resolution is coming from the NAACP 6168, whereas the NAACP has a long history of fighting against environmental racism throughout the nation and the world. Whereas African American, Latino American natives, Asian American, Pacific Islander communities, as well as low-income white communities, are disproportionately impacted by health effects from exposure during production use, disposal, and post-usage legacy exposure. I'm skipping down to some of these so I can stay within my time. Whereas despite the promises, Black communities still tend to be under-resourced regarding federal funding, technical assistance for rebuilding infrastructure, and state investment in environmental issues that impact their communities at high rates. In 2020, nearly 70% of Black people shared that they still live near environmental exposure, as opposed to 40% of white people in a recent poll by Kaiser Family Foundation. In at least 19 states, Black people are 79% more likely to live near poor pollution than white people, and Black people continue to bear a disproportionate burden of pollution than other communities. The NAACP urges you, the community input, to obtain this, city investments in local communities, and clear data metrics regarding the environmental impact to ensure accountability across the city of Corpus Christi. Let it be resolved that the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, Unit 6168, a direct affiliate of the National Office Incorporated, call on the immediate action and response from the city of Corpus Christi and its elected members to halt such construction of any desal plant to be constructed. Let me say this before I sit down, Madam Secretary, that someone made the statement at the beginning, and I've shared this with Councilman Gil Hernandez. Clear, accurate information is what we did not get. That gentleman, Mr. Weber, is accurate that we didn't get it. And the reason why this was prolonged so long in us making a decision.
Coleman, I hate to cut you off.
Yes, ma'am. Well, it was because of the fact that we didn't have the information. Our state and our national office stand by this, and we hope that you all will give us the information that we need for our community.
Thank you. Debbie Layton, and then we'll have Victoria Holland, Chloe Flores, and Barrett Fines.
Good afternoon. I know it's been a long day for you all, so thank you for hanging in there and listening to my comments today. Mayor Guajardo and members of the City Council, my name is Debbie Hicks Layton, and I'm speaking on behalf of the La Retama Club today. I'm honored to be serving as president of the La Retama Club, and my love of the Corpus Christi libraries goes back to my childhood. My mother, Gloria Hicks, took me to the Parkdale Library, now the Nayland Library, often as a child. My brother Charlie Hicks is a past president of the Friends of the Corpus Christi Public Libraries, so our family has deep involvement in the local library system. The La Retama Club was founded in 1906 by a group of ladies who loved reading and sharing their books. In 1909, this group of ladies raised funds, bought furniture, purchased and donated books to create the first public library in Corpus Christi. It was located at the corner of Peoples and Mesquite Street. The club is still in existence and supports the local libraries with volunteer hours and wish list donations from all the libraries in the city. All members of the La Retama Club are required to and are happy to be members of the Friends of the Corpus Christi Public Libraries. The Friends of the Corpus Christi Public Libraries is a group founded in 1956. They work closely with Laura Garcia in addressing needs of all of our libraries. The Friends raise funds for books and special programs such as family festivals, summer reading programs, Teen Book Fest by the Bay, children's events, library and literacy programs. Today you'll be charged with appointing one member to the Library Advisory Board. Historically and traditionally, a member of the La Retama Club holds a position on the library board, and a member of the Friends of the Public Libraries also has held a position on the library board. As these two organizations work so closely with all the public libraries via fundraising and hundreds of volunteer hours, these appointments make absolute sense. Today, on behalf of the La Retama Club, we are requesting that you accept the nominee put forward by the Friends of the Corpus Christi Public Libraries, Jennifer Anderson. Jennifer serves as on the executive board of the Friends of the Corpus Christi Public Libraries and is very active in that role. She is also a community engagement librarian for Texas A&M Corpus Christi. So once again, in closing, our formal recommendation is as follows. The members of the La Retama Club, founders of the Corpus Christi Public Library in 1909, strongly support the longtime tradition of the Friends of the Corpus Christi Libraries to hold a seat on the Library Advisory Board. Thank you for your time and thoughtful consideration today.
Thank you, Ms. Hicks-Layton. Victoria Holland.
I moved up closer this time, so y'all didn't have to watch me walk from way on up there. Hi, I'm Victoria Holland. I live at 235 Ohio Avenue. I want to start by saying that this city council has always made me so proud. You are one of the most proactive city councils seeking solutions for the betterment of the people of this city that I have seen come along in decades, if I'm to believe people that have lived here all their lives. And one of the things you did so well, you are currently negotiating with, I believe, to get more groundwater from Evangeline, a little over a fourth of the water that we currently consume. That's amazing. It's amazing. And that buys us the time to make sure that our next water option, which this Inner Harbor desalination project represents, is done right. We all knew that this project had a lot of drawbacks from the beginning, but when you looked at the water options a few years ago, you looked at them and you saw that this was going to be the most cost-effective solution for more water. Now that price has, if I am to believe all the information I have, now that price has more than tripled. So I'm worried. Is this still the most cost-effective solutions? We know the drawbacks are still there. We know it's going to face this backlash from the community, and we know that there are still a lot of unknowns. We don't know how we're going to pay for it, guys. Is this still the most pragmatic water we can get? Now, you've got a lot of people up here saying, yeah, we got to charge for it full speed ahead. And you've got a lot of people up here saying, no new water. Sorry, that just makes me laugh. No new water for the city. I'm asking y'all to probably choose the least popular option, and I'm going to do it. I'm a little embarrassed, but please make nobody happy. Please reassess and make sure you have all the information on the different water sources again now, so we can move forward with clarity and be sure that when we're making a choice for more water, we're making a smart choice for more water. And thanks to this council and actions of city staff, we have the time to do that because we're getting more water in right now. So, hey, I know I'm asking you to do the unpopular thing. I'm not up here asking for miracles, but I know this council is smart, and I know we can choose the smartest option. Second thing I just want to mention real quick is we're about to give a grant for $75,000 for vaccines that nobody wants. I know people who've gotten the vaccine, and they don't want to get the booster shots 3 times a year that are recommended. Come on, nobody wants it. Are we really going to try to push it on vulnerable populations? I mean, if you want to spend the money, by all means spend it. It just seems silly, like we could spend it on something better. Anyway, thank you for your time. I really appreciate this. I'm hoping we get more information on this desalination project today, and I'm worried.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Holland. Chloe Torres.
Hi, Chloe Torres, 3302 Casa Bonita Drive, but I am reading this comment today on behalf of someone who cannot be here, and her name is Melissa Zamora. My name is Melissa Zamora, and I was born and raised here in Corpus Christi. While growing up, I attended several local schools, including Del Mar and TAMU CC, and am now currently a middle school teacher in an area close to the industrial side of town, where most of our children have asthma, parents and relatives with cancer, other respiratory illnesses, and an overall negative quality of life as a result of living near Refinery Row, where your proposed desalination plant will provide more water for more polluting industries to be built in an already overly crowded industrial complex. We are tired of the environmental racism that has gone on in this region for way too long. And we are organizing within our communities to stand up and speak out against your so-called drought-proof water supply that will only be there to support more industrial expansion that we do not need. Please do the right thing and do not sell us out to the greedy corporations. Remember that your decisions will affect present and future generations, so make a wise decision and say no to desalination and yes to industrial water curtailment for the sake of our health, our bay, and the planet as a whole. Put a plug on desal and get started on large-scale rainwater harvesting, as that is what other drought-stricken cities have done and are currently doing. And most importantly, during droughts, do not continue to allow industry to use the majority of our precious water. Water is life and should be treated with respect for people, plants, and animals of this sacred land. So that was her comment. I just wanted to address something else at me personally. You can tell who the pro-desal activists that were just activated last week because they come up with the same asinine justification that we don't want water. We do want water, but we want water for people, not polluters. That is our solution. The solution is right there, actually, and we've been saying it for years. Thank you, Councilwoman Campos and Councilman Klein, who have been champions for progressive water policy. And that means water for people first. Polluters, private corporations, should not be subsidized by us. That is what we are asking for. That's what we are fighting for. We are not anti-water. That is asinine. And we're gonna win. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bonas. Barrett Fines.
Good afternoon, Barrett Fines, 6006 Lago Vista. Thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts on effective water management for our water resources. My purpose here is to advocate for continued progress and due diligence to secure a resilient water supply for all residents and businesses in the region. First, I will say that regardless of how robust our water supply is, residents and businesses must continue to pursue innovative ways to conserve and responsibly manage our existing water resources. To date, the city has been successful in securing diversified supply of surface waters, but we're already reaching as far as the Colorado River to do so. Our existing surface water supply has proven less resilient and resistant to drought than what will be necessary to meet future demands for our combined residential and industrial needs. It's imperative that we look beyond the conventional boundaries of relying solely on traditional surface water sources. Some have suggested that future water plans primarily serve the interests of industry. It's crucial to understand that every gallon of water secured from an alternate source alleviates the strain on our existing sources, benefiting all residents of the region. This is particularly true in cases of drought when surface water supplies become scarce. The opportunity exists to actually increase freshwater inflows into the Nueces Bay estuary if existing surface water demands are unburdened by a new alternate source. Recognizing the scarcity of drought-resistant water sources, I firmly believe that we have a solution space that matches sound stewardship of coastal resources with the growing demand for fresh water. Desal, a proven technology worldwide, albeit relatively new to the coastal bend, presents a compelling alternative for diversifying our water supply, meeting our needs in an economically and environmentally sound manner. Undoubtedly, there will continue to be questions and challenges surrounding desalination, largely stemming from a lack of familiarity with the technology among our residents. The council and city management have a responsibility to conduct thorough due diligence and collaborate with residents, scientists, and industry to instill confidence in a solution that will not only minimize environmental impacts, but also ensure a potentially scalable, drought-resistant water supply for both our residents and industries alike. We must approach this challenge with an open mind and embrace innovation. We're at a critical juncture that requires your action today to safeguard our water resources for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fines. Priscilla Cambrick. Is Priscilla Cambrick with us? Oh, you are? Come on in.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Priscilla Cambrick. I'm reside at 2814 Rogers Street, Corpus Christi, Texas, 78405. I'm here this afternoon to vote no for the desalination plant. And as I was reading, it was being like the water shortage. It said Corpus Christi sold water to Exxon, gambling on desalination. So far, it was a losing battle. When Exxon came here, city officials eagerly signed over a large portion of their water supply to the oil giant for a $10 billion plant to make plastics. And then a year later, did the same thing for Steel Dynamics. So as we're reading here, it says, out of a 50-year water plan, we're 13 years ahead of schedule. That was a lot of water. So with all of that, selling that water for the desal, we're right back where we started from. And it's a quote in here, Mayor, that you have here. It says, I would love nothing more to get right in the front of their faces, the state, TCEQ, EPA, all of those agencies, and say, hey people, do you realize that we need this permit now? We provide water for 500,000 people. And this was quoted by Paulette Guajardo. And this is urgent. We have to have this permit right now. So we're still battling with that permit, so I really don't know what's going on cost effectively. I have it here. So I just want to say that for the desal over in Hillcrest, it would be a poor solution. Being a black, maybe still Hispanic people over there, I don't know. But it's not a good place. And it said that putting that desal over there would cause health problems, tissues, bone marrow, and etc. I read it here. So Corpus is a pretty good sized city. And I think maybe we could find somewhere else to put this desal plant if it's needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kimber. Justin Smith.
Hello, my name is Justin Smith. I live at 6201 Novi Court. First, just wanted to thank all the great work the council does for the city and for your interest in this matter, in this position on desalination. I'm here to speak in favor of the desalination plant. Our current approach of using surface water as our only source of water doesn't provide a reliable and sustainable supply of water for the continued growth and prosperity of the coastal Bend region. Surface water is vulnerable to drought conditions, and we have exhausted viable, accessible sources, leaving limited expansion capabilities and capacity. We must approach our water supply with a diversified approach of using multiple independent sources, similar to how we have approached our energy demand through diversification, power generation from fossil fuels, solar, and wind. Desalination is a viable alternative that provides a safe, sustainable, and environmentally responsible source of water. It is unaffected by drought conditions and is scalable for future capacity growth to provide a complementary source of groundwater. Desalination has a proven technology with successful track record in municipal applications. For good reason, this is an emotionally charged topic on both sides of this decision. We must use facts and unbiased data to make objective decisions that is best for our community. I urge the council to vote in favor of desalination. Desalination provides a valuable solution to improve the quality of life of current residents and future generations while maintaining the health and beauty of the coastal Bend's waterways and ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Avets.
Hello. My name is Saya. 1, 2, 3, clear is my address.
What street is it?
It's Preston Street.
And what did you want to say, please?
Our ocean is very important. It's important because it's part of us and our ancestors. It's all in life. That's all. Please say goodbye.
Shoulder sign. Thank you, Dan. Sylvia Oliver.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Sylvia Tryon Oliver. Reside at 2814 Rogers Street here in Corpus Christi. On behalf of the NAACP, I will be reading a resolution regarding the Littles Martin House repairs and the preservation of such. Whereas the Littles Martin House, located at 1519 North Chaparral in Heritage Park in Corpus Christi, Texas, and serves as the historical home of African artifacts and the NAACP Corpus Christi Regional Headquarters. And whereas the Littles Martin House was native to the first black family in Corpus Christi in 1849, and the Littles family was one of the first black Catholic families here in Corpus Christi, and among the first members to attend Holy Cross Catholic Church. The Kennedy family gave the house to the Littles family when the couple retired. And whereas in 1984, the city's Landmark Commission was contacted to preserve a legacy of the black community in the development of Heritage Park, and in January 1986, the Littles Martin House was loaded onto a truck and relocated from North Staple Street to its current location in Heritage Park. Therefore, we call on the City Council of Corpus Christi to immediately put into action the restoration of the historical black landmark that has been damaged since 2021, to prevent further deterioration and expedite the completion of this restoration project both inside and outside. Therefore, be it resolved that the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, Unit 6168, a direct affiliate of the national NAACP, have passed this resolution to call on immediate action and response from City of Corpus Christi and its elected members. Passed and adopted by the NAACP of Corpus Christi this January 27th, Jeremy Coleman, President. My second point is, as we leave in January, which also represents Martin Luther King Day, we're now entering into the month of February, which represents Black History Month. My concern is that there is plenty of demolition going on, as well as boarding up houses in the Washington Coles area, which is also a black community, or used to be for the most part. It's on the other side of Court Street, in addition to the Hillcrest that you've been hearing about. So my church there, St. Paul United Methodist Church, will be celebrating its 140th anniversary this year. I was there at St. Paul ever since I was born about 20 years ago. But nonetheless, I want everybody to understand that that area is just as important as Hillcrest. And I encourage every one of you to always put somebody on the city council that will represent all diversities in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Oliver. Eloisa Rodriguez. Is Eloisa with us today? Okay. Bob Paulson.
I'd like to speak to the item.
The item, okay. Eduardo Canales.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. My name is Eduardo Hernandez. I reside at 1721 Bevington Drive. I'm a member of the Greater Good and the director of the South Texas Human Rights Center. I oppose what the city council members, and the mayor, and the city manager attempts to continue to jam the desalination component plants down the throats of us, our community. I'm understanding the community's frustration because of your blindness and your refusal in a very autocratic and dictatorial way, and not passing the direction of environmental degradation, of not listening to the science and that says it will kill our bay, and only perpetuating fossil fuel destructive industries. Continue perpetuating the boondoggle cost of desalination plant, as has been mentioned here earlier, 1.7 billion and rising. Only for corporate use of industries, not for residents, but for corporations that get continued welfare by industrial district agreements, the IDAs, that continue environmental degradation. The city needs to enter its place in combating climate change. I just got back from a conference, Global Forum on Migration and Development in Geneva. The title of the conference was Climate Change and Human Mobility. And I've always wondered why this city hasn't grown bigger. Because people leave here because of the environment that's being created by refinery road. The corporations that get continued welfare, but the IDAs that continue environmental degradation, the city needs to enter its place in combating climate change. No discussion has ever taken place here. What is the city going to do regarding climate change? Build 5 plants, 5 desalination plants? No, that's the opposite way. Shifting its view of economic development to one of a nature positive economy, a sustainable, environmental, and safe economy that does not marginalize and discriminate against minority people of color neighborhoods. There is no courage, except from council persons Sylvia Campos and Jim Klein. Please develop courage and a vision that saves Corpus Christi Bay and the coastal bend wetlands environment and protects Hillcrest and the overall community at large. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Brian Keeble. And then we'll hear from Jose Brito and then Scott Corpus.
Good afternoon. I'm Brian Keeble, 4350 Ocean Drive, 121 Southern Drive. We desperately need water here. Going back into the past, trying to unwind some of these contracts is going to be totally detrimental to everything. It's a disaster waiting to happen. It is not able to be done in an efficient manner currently. We are dependent upon rainwater through all of these different collection systems that we have now. Nothing currently is renewable. This is renewable. It discharges into the ship channel, which changes out its water twice per day. It does not damage our bay. I live directly on the bay. I have dolphins out in front of my house. I don't want them hurt. The companies that I'm wanting to bring here have tens of thousands of jobs. They have environmental sections that they adhere to. They are for it. It's not just executive jobs that are coming here. It is everything from high school level on up. Tens of thousands of them want to be here. But if there's no water, they're not coming. It's just that simple. I appreciate everything that y'all do. I love how y'all get along, even though y'all don't agree all the time. It's really a pleasure. I'm usually the last one out of here. And I have never seen one of y'all fall asleep. Thank you for everything that y'all do and the great team that y'all have assembled. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keeble. Jose Brito? Is Mr. Brito here? Okay. Scott Corliss, I'm sorry.
My name is Scott Corliss, 1234 Cornerstone Drive, Corpus Christi.
Mr. Sugley, my representative here. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council. First, I want to say that this council has been one of the most productive and proactive councils I've seen in almost 2 decades. In the past, it was thought to kick it down the road, blaming the community and not making the tough calls. That was their status quo, but not this one. This council, however, has taken on the tough jobs and all the different types of proactive agendas, including but not limited to street improvements, sustainable growth of Corpus Christi in this region. Now the possibilities of no longer having to deal with water rationing and invasive tactics of irrigation. That since the 1990s, Corpus Christi has been studying desalination possibilities, and it's about time we started moving forward with this idea. Answering the ever-growing problem of water allocation is one of the major stumbling blocks for this city. Just some of the statistics that I've looked over in the years, since 1971, the U.S. has been building and utilizing desalination. It's in just about every state and has some type of desal, with hundreds of efficient plants that meet the needed quality products at very low environmental impact. Almost 30 countries throughout the world are using desal and have been able to sustain their growth and economy by this method. Israel is a prime example with 85% of their water from the desalination. They also have excess desaled water that they use to give to other countries. Desal is an ever-growing technology that is used as an alternative for using lakes and estuary sources that dry up and be environmentally unsustainable for life as we know it in these estuaries. I could go on about this, but I won't. So often there is forward momentum in this council that the city growth and quality of life issues are confronted by a large group of squeaky wheel citizens that overwhelm the majority of the actual constituents. I'm a regular Joe. I moved here in 1982 and started my business out of the back seat of my car. I've been in business for over 30 years and have lived here for over 40 plus years with water rationing impositions on each one of our citizens. Everyone I talk to and encounter in this wonderful city have always stated the need for a permanent solution and the inevitable discussion that turns to desal. I know that while you hear from the 8 to 10% of the people who are very loud and very intimidating, be aware that there is always just enough of the facts to exaggerate them to their point, to get their point across. This is no more than a tactic. In my studies of the proposal, I have found that number one, we are in critical need of a real solution. We can go on. I'm sorry, I took longer than I should have. Let me just say finally that we need this solution because there are no other alternatives that don't rise to the excessive cost and the short-term solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Corliss. Okay, that concludes the majority of our public comment.
The in-person portion of our comment. Now we go to our virtual comment. So the first person to...
I'm sorry, Mayor. I can't find him on the list. Oh.
Go ahead, Miss.
Sorry. Apologize.
No.
Okay, so the first person on the list is for virtual comment is Brittany Young.
Hello, my name is Brittany Young. I'm a resident of District 3, zip code 78415. I'm calling once again during my work time, in the middle of a meeting actually right now, where I tell my manager I need to step away, to tell the City Council to vote no on all agenda items regarding the development of a desalination plant, and instead to put this on the ballot for the people who cannot show up to make their voices heard during the middle of a work day. Last week, the Caller Times released an article about the City Council's initial approval for the Inner Harbor desal plant. On their Instagram, a person left a following comment: do the residents of Corpus not understand the consequences of desalination plants? I responded to that person: we understand, but the council doesn't care what we have to say. That comment most certainly rings true after last week, as people made public comments opposing the desal plant because of the environmental, economic, and moral ramifications this plant will have on our coastal community in the long run. The city council members who voted to move forward with the desal project was more than a subtle slap in the face to the voters and residents of Corpus Christi. Despite years of people bringing you evidence about the environmental and economic impact of desal, particularly in the Inner Harbor, you still move forward with this project. I've watched your city council meetings after public comments have been made, and I'm not sure if you know this, but these meetings are recorded on the internet. You're just at people's public comments while discussing agenda items. Leaving while people are speaking shows how you value the voters who put you there. Some of you by a very small margin. Maybe some of you do not care because you are terming out or seeking other elected positions, but rest assured the way that you vote on matters, on matters that affect this community, and the things that you say when public comment is over is recorded. So I'm asking you one last time to put our community first by voting no to the costly, environmentally destructive desal plant. We the people, the voters who are watching live on YouTube right now, and the media observing you like a hawk in the sky, will not allow you to throw our community to the side. To the people of Corpus Christi, never forget your power is in your vote. The last day to register to vote or update your mailing address for the joint primary election is Monday, February 5th. And the people who voted that initial yes are running in the joint primary. So please visit the county courthouse, go to votetexas.gov to check your voter registration status, or find a voter registration application. Let's turn out the vote for Corpus Christi. You have the power. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Next is Edward Lopez. Mr. Lopez? I don't think he's online. Next we have Russell Radatz. R-A-D-A-T-Z. Okay, I don't believe he's online. Jeffrey Ibarra. Mr. Ibarra?
Yes.
Oh, good, okay. Mr. Ibarra, go ahead and make your comment, please. And state your name and address.
5701 Circle Boulevard. We're just talking about the desalination. This is something that we need to really get into, see what it's all about, not just something to jump into, do more experience. A lot of us don't want it, but you know, like I said, a lot of times people, the little people are never heard. But we need to figure out what is a better way to do things and a better way to save the environment and do what we need to do and not bring down a community just for funds that will destroy everything else around. We need to figure out if there's going to be a hazardous byproduct of all this desalination to hurt the environment. Because, you know, Corpus was built all the fishing community and a tourist attraction. But this, without really researching it, what does it do to us in the future? They said they want us, the kids to have something to be in the future with. How can we have a future if we don't know what this is going to do to us? You know, we got to figure all that out and find a better way. Because that's for one thing, you know, a lot of us are struggling. Now you want to add it as a taxpayer thing. You know, that's going to kill a lot of people in this city, business and everything. And then what's going to happen is Corpus is going to go, come out like a little ghost town because nobody's here. Because we can't afford the prices that y'all wanting us to pay and everything like that. And that's about as much as I would like to say, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next is Sylvia Jimenez de la Garza. Hi, Ms. de la Garza, we can't hear you. Are you muted? We still can't hear you. There you go, okay.
There you go.
Go ahead and start, ma'am.
Yes, hi, again, I'm Sylvia Jimenez de la Garza, I live at 3009 Charles Drive, and I've been going to the meetings for the last 2 years. Please put the desalination plant for a vote. Remember, there's elections coming up in November, so the ones who vote yes, you're all going to be voting out. So if you want to keep your jobs, I say put all this for a vote. Don't do it on yourself. Ask the people who's going to be affected, ask the public we have the right to vote for the plant, if we want a plant or not. This is a plant that is the only one of its kind. So there's no proper examples. There's people saying, yeah, there's millions of desalination plants in other places all over the world, but this one is going to be inside a bay. So there's not another example. There's not another one like this one. So please stop the lies. I just don't want to see another Schlatterman like in the island. You all signed up for that. You all said no to test SpaceX. You prefer a Schlatterman, and then a few years later, a Schlatterman was torn down. We don't have a Schlatterman anymore. If you see the desalination plant will affect our area, we have every year people coming, tourists coming to see the turtles being released. So it's going to affect our environment, it's going to affect on the people who live over there. Please, council members, think and ask for proof and vote for no. That's my thinking. We need more proof and put it to a vote. The people have the right to choose if they want a desalination plant that's going to bring more contamination, more pollution to our area, and we don't even know if it's going to work. Why not look for another alternatives? I'm saying all that money is going to be spent, and then if it doesn't work, what now? We have all over the city potholes. That money could be employed, could be used better ways all over the city. We have streets with potholes, and the last meeting that I went, it was in August 29. I requested some things to be repaired. I'm still waiting. There's a picture over here. I don't know if you can see it really well. There's a picture of a median post that is close to an intersection that is is the main road to the TM primary in my area in Annabelle. And just like that, there's another one. Yes?
Thank you so much. Your time is up.
Okay.
Appreciate your comment. Thank you. So the following individuals have indicated that they are not residents of Corpus Christi. The first is Mike Hatch.
Thank you. And good afternoon. My name is Mike Hatch. I reside at 408 Pinehurst, Portland, Texas. I'm here today to show support for the desalination plant. I'm a licensed professional mechanical engineer, and I work with the facts. And the facts are that the proposed desalination plant is the only scalable and drought-proof water source that we have for our very strong and growing economy. We are blessed to have the third largest port in the United States and the tens of thousands of good, high-paying jobs that come along with that. The facts are that everybody in the coastal bend area is going to benefit from the desalination plant. It's not just this group or that group, it's everybody. That's because every gallon of water that's produced to this plant is less demand that's needed on our surface water. I'm sorry I ran out of time, but thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mike Culbertson.
I know it's been a while. I'm running. Hi, Mike Culbertson, CEO of your
Corpus Christi EDC, 800 North Shoreline. Thank you for this time. I'm in favor of desal. The EDC represents 130 businesses that are supportive of our mission to grow our region. In 2013, us, Port Industries, now Coastal Bend Industries, the city, God bless him, Ron Olson, and Sam Pat Water, started looking at all of this. If you could remember, that was a bad time. And I gotta tell you, desal is where we ended up. And I appreciate the city. I want you to bring this region forward for our citizens and our businesses. And I thank you, and I know it's not easy, and I so appreciate you being there. Thank you.
Next is Michael Paris.
City Council staff, Michael Paris, represent Portland, Texas, represent the San Patricio County Economic Development Corporation. Your supply of water that you're looking at with desal brings consistency to the supply of water for primary jobs. Those primary jobs are around 7,500 in San Patricio County within a 45-mile drive radius. Those primary jobs pay between $75,000 a year up to $90,000 a year for some of our employers. Keep in mind that our employers in San Patricio County, and I'm sure in other counties in this area, are environmentally responsible, and they reuse this water. They don't use it wastefully. So in that context, we want to help stand next to you and support your decision for this desal project. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Next is Sandy Rodriguez.
Hi, my name is Sandy S.P.I.D Rodriguez, and I live in the Bay Ridge neighborhood in Portland, Texas. So I'm a very proud graduate of A&M Corpus Christi with an environmental science degree. And one of my first classes at A&M Corpus was actually debating pro or against desal, and that was in 2015. So to me, that means there's been a need for this for 10 years, but in reality, it's been needed for much longer. I am here to support you in voting yes for desalination, and from what I've seen, there's been a lot of tension and focus on the industry profits coming from this plant, but not enough discussion on the strict permits and regulations that are planned in that process. Industries truly give us our way of life and provide energy as well as our daily products that we truly use every day. Or even in my case, industry hired me as a local to be able to stay local, do environmental work, and provide for my family. We all take our water for granted every single day, and I really hope to see Corpus grow and see this resource grow with it to be sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Sydney Hansen.
Good afternoon. My name is Sydney Hansen. I am a resident of Rockport, Texas. I'm here today to support the desal project. According to the World Resources Institute, even with an optimistic outlook, this region is at extremely high risk for water scarcity and stress by 2030. That's only 6 years away. With the demand for water outweighing the current supply, and as economic prosperity continues to grow in this region, so will the demand for water. I believe that this desalination plant could benefit not only the residents of Corpus Christi, but all the surrounding communities as well, like mine in Rockport. With people moving to the coastal bend, not only for industry, but for its natural beauty, I believe that we have the resources and the people to do this right, while protecting what we love about this area, which is its nature and its natural beauty. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Patrick Dooley. Mr. Dooley, not here? Francisco Falcon.
Good afternoon. I'm Francisco Falcon. I live in Portland, Texas. I'll start by saying I lack awareness what it takes to lead and manage a city. and I also lack awareness in what it would be like living in Hillcrest. For me personally, I like the benefits of desalination. What I support even more than desalination is community. The word community comes from common and united. I think you all probably have a pretty good case for action, and there's some concerned citizens that it would benefit for them to know more about what you're trying to accomplish, and maybe some what can we do for Hillcrest so that way they don't feel like they're getting the short end of the stick. I heard it once, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Avery DeVault.
Good afternoon, my name is Avery DeVault and I reside in Hernandez, Texas, and I'm here to speak about desalination. I'm here today not only as a concerned citizen of the greater Coastal Bend community, but also as an avid outdoorsman, spouse of an oil and gas industry employee, and most importantly, an environmental engineer. I've said all this to drive home the point that I understand the complexities and opposing viewpoints on this topic. However, I also understand that 97% of the water on Earth is found in the ocean, and only 3% is fresh water. Of that 3%, 68% is trapped in glaciers and inaccessible. And I've just said a bunch of numbers, but I don't think you need to be an engineer to see that fresh water is not an unlimited resource, and the reality is it will only become more scarce as humankind continues to advance. I'm in support of the desalination treatment plant because I believe it is the best option to provide a resilient water supply. At some point, we need to have a degree of confidence that the governing entities have done all they can to ensure the safety of both humankind and the environment, and I believe they have. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Rebecca, what was her name again?
Avery DeVault. Avery DeVault.
DeVault?
Yes, sir. She's.
Oh, I got it. Thank you.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Next we have Brian Williams.
Speaking item 4, please.
All right. Logan Burton.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. When I wrote this, I thought I'd be speaking in the morning. Turns out it's mid-afternoon. But my name's Logan Burton, and I live at 1101 North Wood Street in Rockport, Texas. Although I'm not a citizen of the city of Corpus Christi, I do work here full-time, and I'm one of over 500,000 customers depending on the city's 7-county regional water supply. I'm here today in support of the City Council moving forward with desal. The entire water supply for the Coastal Bend comes entirely from the city of Corpus Christi, and it's all treated at a single water treatment plant, the Owen Stevens plant in Calallen. It's 100% dependent upon rainfall within a very small and narrow watershed, which makes it very, I guess, at the mercy of the drought conditions that we see on a very regular basis. Looking into the future, we all know that the current water supply is not sustainable and it's not reliable if we're relying on surface water. Wow. Next time, yeah. Appreciate it. For desal, thank you.
All right, the next individuals are virtual public comment, also not city residents. The first is Toby Hatch. Toby? Okay, doesn't appear to be online. How about Joshua Hall? Okay, don't hear Joshua. Rogelio Garza? Okay, no Mr. Garza. Mr. Garza? Okay, no. How about Edgar Aguirre?
Yes, my name is Edgar Aguirre. I work, I'm here in Houston, Texas. I'm also working in refineries. And for one, I'm against discrimination due to the fact I've seen what happens when chemicals are produced into the bays, into stuff like that, because we just had that happen here and killed most of those creatures around. and we're about rescuing turtles and all that, so that's something we gotta really put in advantage. We wanna protect nature. It's not protecting it, we're letting it go, chemicals and stuff like that we're not aware of. They're killing the nature around it by putting that more refineries in the water. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you, Mr. Aguirre. Next is John Darnell. I'm sorry. Mr. Darnell? No? Okay. And we have Matthew Kennedy.
Yes, my name is Matthew Kennedy. I work with Texas Campaign for the Environment, and I'm here to stand with local residents against desalination. I just want to share some key findings from the AutoCase cost-benefit analysis study on different Corpus Christi Bay water supply options. The study looked at multiple water supply strategy scenarios and assessed the financial, social, and environmental impacts of each. I'm going to quote from the report. Without the high rate of growth in the petrochemical and industrial manufacturing industries, the coastal Bend region would not need such large volumes of additional water supply. The lowest net financial cost is the Evangeline groundwater plus water conservation measures. The desal scenarios are the most expensive with high capital costs as compared to a combination of water conservation and pumping water from the Evangeline aquifer. The full study can be found at desaldisaster.com. It's clear that desal doesn't make sense from an economic, societal, or environmental perspective. Please listen to the local community members in Hillcrest and Corpus Christi asking you to protect their bay from desal and prioritize water for people, not polluters. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, Mayor, that concludes our public comment period.
Thank you, Rebecca. Okay, so at this time, we are going to break for lunch. And the council will go into executive session on items 38 through 40 per the Texas Government Code section 551.071 and 551.087.
Safe out there. Service.